Rolling sandstorms blotted out the sky and the sun. Sitting inside a beat-up minivan, Lu Hao stared at the sandstorm sweeping toward him in the distance and jolted in fright. An endless highway stretched out before his feet, marked with a prominent road sign numbered 1688. The numbers sounded auspicious, yet Lu Hao could find nothing lucky about his current predicament. This disaster might very well cost him his life. He was far from the only person in a state of utter bewilderment. Hundreds of other people surrounded him, each equipped with their own vehicles of varying descriptions. Some drove ordinary cars or tractors, while a handful even operated tanks and helicopters. Others rode motorcycles, electric scooters, bicycles, skateboards, or rollerblades. Seeing the poor contestants stuck with nothing but skateboards and rollerblades eased Lu Hao's anxiety a little. His battered minivan offered shelter from wind and sand, at the very least. He did not need to rely on his own physical strength to flee for his life. Lu Hao gripped the peeling steering wheel tightly as a cold mechanical voice echoed in his ears. Vehicle bound successfully. Loading survival system. Loading complete. Players may view personal stats, inventory, trading platform, and global chat channel via their wristwatch. Warning: the sandstorm will arrive in 10 minutes with a wind speed of 30 kilometers per hour. All players must prepare for evacuation, or you will be swallowed by the sandstorm. There is no turning back. Survive. Wish you a pleasant journey ahead. Pleasant was the last word anyone would use to describe the situation. Lu Hao watched several people on the verge of a full breakdown. How am I supposed to outrun a 30 kilometers per hour sandstorm with an old-fashioned single-speed bicycle powered purely by my legs? Why on earth would anyone spawn with a unicycle? I've never trained for a circus act. I've got 8 wheels total, but they're just rollerblades. I'm in a tank, but I have zero clue how to drive it. Wait, suddenly I know how to operate it. Ha ha, this has to be a nightmare. Wake up. I need to wake up right now. Some players slapped their own faces hard in desperation. A middle-aged man on a motorcycle sped straight toward the sandstorm in the opposite direction, convinced he would jolt himself awake from what he believed was a vivid nightmare. I wish this were nothing more than a bad dream. Lu Hao shook his head, tuning out the panicking crowd and focusing on the plain wristwatch strapped to his left wrist. The watch featured a simple, digital time display and a single physical button. He pressed the button tentatively, and a translucent system panel materialized before his eyes. Highway Survival Rules 1. Your vehicle is as vital as your life. Never abandon it under any circumstances. 2. Vehicles can be upgraded. Do everything possible to raise your vehicle's tier. The interior of your vehicle serves as your personal safe zone, though it cannot shield you from all threats. Protect your vehicle at all costs. 4. Service stations provide resource supplies and function as inviolable safe zones where player combat is strictly prohibited. Service stations are equipped with gas stations, charging piles, vending machines, gacha dispensers, and repair bays for players to access necessary supplies. 6. Defeating aberrant monsters yields random material drops. Earn highway coins through monster loot, selling items to the system store, player-to-player trades, and other means. 8. An arcane sequence mystery box has been distributed to every player. Check your inventory to claim it. Lu Hao memorized these rules and prepared to open his personal attribute panel when urgent banging resounded against his car door. Lu Hao? It's me. Open up quickly. It's sweltering out here. The minivan had poor sound insulation, yet Lu Hao instantly recognized this voice. Wan Li? How did you end up here too? Wan Li was the woman he had been pursuing, a fair-skinned, attractive beauty widely regarded as one of the most popular female students at their university. Right now, her clothes were coated with dust, her face pale and etched with terror. Lu Hao unlocked the door immediately. She circled around to the passenger side and yanked violently on the door handle. Lu Hao refused to disengage the lock. He was not cold-hearted. Without fully verifying her identity, he could not confirm whether this figure was truly the Wan Li he knew. Just as he prepared to step on the gas and drive away, the passenger door clicked open of its own accord. Wan Li scrambled inside and slammed the door shut, glaring furiously at him. Why did you hesitate to let me in? Were you content to watch me get hurt out there? Lu Hao narrowed his eyes and studied her carefully. The door latch is broken. The door mechanism was indeed damaged, which explained how she had forced it open with brute force. Wan Li kept complaining nonstop. The heat is unbearable. Where even are we? How do we get dragged into this hellish place? Turn on the air conditioning this instant. Glancing at the fuel gauge hovering near empty, Lu Hao reached out and pinched her cheek firmly. Ow, that hurts. Wan Li yelped, growing furious. What do you think you're doing? Just confirming you are a real living person, in case this is some kind of entity mimicking her appearance. Lu Hao replied flatly. Before Wanli could retort, he posed another question. Where is your vehicle? My vehicle? Wanli grew even more irritated while fumbling across the dashboard for the AC controls. I was given a beat-up scooter that's almost out of fuel. How am I supposed to travel on that? I never imagined I would suffer through something like this. I'm burning up. Hurry and turn on the cooling system. We barely have any gasoline left. We need to conserve every drop to outrun the sandstorm. Otherwise, we will both get caught in it. Lu Hao forced himself to stay calm. I'm already on the brink of collapse from the heat. Wanli smacked the vehicle's control panel harshly. Can't you see how parched I am? My throat is completely dried out. And this terrible vehicle reeks of something foul. It's absolutely revolting. I'm just as thirsty as you are. Lu Hao took a deep breath and watched other players floor their accelerators in a frantic escape. Even the motorcyclist who had charged toward the sandstorm earlier had reversed course and fled at top speed, screaming in panic. He licked his cracked lips and suppressed his rising frustration. Vehicles can be upgraded. Have you opened your arcane sequence mystery box yet? We should check what ability we each rolled first. Wanli cut him off sharply. I need water right now. How can you stand by and watch me struggle? Your behavior is incredibly disappointing. Thud. Before she could finish her sentence, she was sent flying backward into the passenger door and tumbled out of the vehicle entirely after Lu Hao kicked her leg. Lu Hao slowly retracted his foot with a calm expression. A malicious, aberrant creature has possessed an innocent woman's body. He leaned forward, slammed the passenger door shut, and fastened the safety latch tightly. Wanli sat dazed on the asphalt, rubbing her sore hip. What was that for? Lu Hao, you. She was about to unleash a torrent of angry shouts when shrill braking sounds and blaring car horns cut her off. Lu Hao peered out the right window to see a bright red sports car skidding to a halt directly in front of Wanli. The window rolled down, revealing a young man with dyed blonde hair leaning out and letting out a low whistle. Hey lady, want to ride in my sports car? I'll get you away from this mess. Wanli's face instantly lit up with hope. The blonde man grinned confidently. This sports car tops out at 230 kilometers per hour, fast enough to leave the sandstorm far behind. The cabin is fully air-conditioned for your comfort. You must be hungry too. I'll treat you to food and drinks once we reach the service station. As for that run-down minivan, he locked eyes with Lu Hao through the car window and spoke in a mocking tone. Women deserve care and consideration. Only an incompetent man would lash out at a woman to vent his frustrations. He held up 3 fingers. I only have 1 spare seat. Plenty of other people would jump at this chance. You have 3 seconds to decide. 3. He revved the engine as he counted, the sports car roaring with ferocious power. Wait for me. Wanli panicked and hurried toward the vehicle. You're such a heartless person. Don't expect me to forgive you or chase after you after this. She spat before throwing open the sports car's passenger door and climbing inside. The blonde driver wore a triumphant smirk. Sorry, buddy, this lady's riding with me now. If you're upset about it, feel free to chase me down in your broken-down van. Make sure you remember my name, Huang Failong. Try not to get swallowed by the sandstorm out here, huh? The red sports car roared loudly, kicking up thick clouds of dust as it sped away amid envious glances from surrounding survivors. Lu Hao stared impassively at the departing vehicle, feeling neither sorrow nor rage. He could only blame his own poor judgment for ever having feelings for Wanli. If he had let her stay in his vehicle, her selfishness would have gotten him killed sooner or later. Wanli's discarded scooter remained parked beside the road. Lu Hao exited the minivan and hauled the scooter into the rear cargo compartment with great effort. He had no intention of delivering the scooter back to Wanli. It served as a backup means of transport if his van stalled or ran completely dry of fuel. The moment he secured the scooter in place, a soft female voice echoed inside his mind, distinct from the previous cold system tone. External cheat binding complete. Obtain unique vehicle perk, Infinite Fusion. You may fuse your vehicle with any unclaimed abandoned vehicles to upgrade your own ride. Abandoned vehicle detected. Standard scooter 70 intact, 10 fuel remaining. Select a fusion outcome from the options below. Entry-level camper van 70 intact, full fuel tank 2. Wooling minivan brand new, 50 fuel capacity 3. Yamaha touring motorcycle 90 intact. 80 fuel capacity. Glancing at the sandstorm rapidly closing in from behind, Lu Hao made his choice without hesitation. Option 1. The second-hand camper van. While the brand new minivan and touring motorcycle boasted superior raw performance, the camper van came with a full fuel tank. A camper van was guaranteed to have a far larger fuel reservoir for extended travel. He ruled out the motorcycle entirely. Riding it left him fully exposed to harsh environmental conditions with none of the safety enclosed vehicles provided. No matter how powerful a two-wheeler was, It became useless scrap metal once fuel ran out. He had no way of knowing how long he would need to outrun the sandstorm and refused to take unnecessary risks. The scooter dissolved into countless tiny mechanical fragments that streamed into Lu Hao's original minivan, which then began splitting apart and restructuring itself. In the blink of an eye, the worn-out minivan had transformed into a larger camper van. Lu Hao wasted no time inspecting the new living quarters. He rushed to the driver's seat, ignited the engine, shifted gears and pressed hard on the gas pedal. The camper van quickly accelerated to 80 kilometers per hour, easily outpacing survivors struggling along on bicycles, skateboards, and rollerblades. Only once the sandstorm faded into the distance did Lu Hao finally release his held breath, gaining a moment of peace to examine his official stat panels. Two separate panels were available, one for his personal attributes and another for his vehicle statistics. Lu Hao opened his personal stats first. Name: Lu Hao Highway Coin Balance. 0 overall physique. 10 average rating for strength, agility, and physical defense. Mental power. 15 global average baseline is 10. Above ordinary human standards arcane sequence. None unlocked gene lock. Sealed, arcane sequences and gene locks. Instead of immediately opening the arcane sequence mystery box stored in his inventory, Lu Hao pulled up his camper van's attribute sheet. Vehicle: Civil Grade C Camper Van 70 Intact Unique Perk. Infinite Fusion Vehicle Tier. Level 1 Defense Rating. 15 Vehicle Weight. 2. 5 tons Interior Volume. 7 cubic meters Water Tank Capacity. 80 liters 100 full installed modifications. None. Vehicle Modification Modules. I could mount a heavy machine gun if I wanted to. This system is far more interesting than I thought. My two core objectives in this survival game are clear now. Upgrade my vehicle continuously and strengthen my own physical abilities. Ordinary players must follow fixed upgrade paths to enhance their vehicles, but my infinite fusion ability lets me absorb abandoned vehicles for upgrades. That simplifies the process drastically. Still, I can only fuse unclaimed vehicles, either ones discarded by their owners or seized outright from unattended property. Speaking of personal upgrades, the water tank. I'm absolutely parched right now. Lu Hao slammed on the brakes and hurried into the living section of the camper. He reached the wash basin, twisted on the faucet and gulped down mouthfuls of fresh water greedily. Finally, some relief. He wiped water droplets from his lips and sank onto the built-in sofa before opening his inventory to focus on the arcane sequence mystery box. Every player received one of these mystery boxes. The ability drawn is entirely based on luck. I already got the overpowered infinite fusion perk for my vehicle, so hopefully luck stays on my side this time. Taking a deep breath, Lu Hao activated the mystery box. A burst of bright light erupted from the item and merged directly into his body, accompanied by a new system notification. Acquired SSS Tier Arcane Sequence. Vehicle Symbiosis Effect. Every time your vehicle levels up once, you will permanently gain one additional S-Tier or higher Arcane Sequence. Co-evolution alongside my vehicle. An SSS grade ability. Every vehicle level up grants a brand new high-tier ability. This single ability unlocks access to an unlimited supply of top-tier powers. Lu Hao's eyes lit up with excitement. No matter how lucky other players get with their pulls, none will ever match my build. My top priority right now is leveling up the camper van to unlock my second arcane sequence and boost my own power. With that thought in mind, Lu Hao returned to the driver's seat and reversed the camper van onto the highway. He planned to drive back and collect all abandoned vehicles scattered along the road. The survival ordeal had just begun, and most players had yet to grasp how critical their assigned vehicles were. Many unlucky survivors stuck with bikes or skating gear would abandon their transport once they realized they could not outrun the storm. Others would discard vehicles that had broken down or run out of power. This was the perfect window to scavenge valuable fusion materials for free. His newly upgraded camper van easily outmatched the sandstorm's speed with a full fuel tank. He could safely make this round trip before the storm caught up to his position. Floor the accelerator. Lu Hao pressed the gas pedal firmly, pushing the camper van's speed all the way up to 120 kilometers per hour as he raced against the clock to salvage discarded vehicles before the sandstorm swallowed them whole. Shortly afterward, his camper van passed groups of exhausted fleeing players, all staring at him in stunned disbelief. He's driving straight toward the sandstorm. This person has a death wish. He must have lost his mind. Does anyone know how to fix a broken excavator track? Mine just gave out completely. Up ahead, the massive sandstorm loomed larger with every passing second. Lu Hao truly felt the overwhelming, crushing force of natural disaster as he charged head-on toward it, Yet his resolve never wavered. His sole focus remained gathering abandoned vehicles for fusion materials. Found one. A pair of rollerblades. Here's a skateboard. A discarded unicycle. Lu Hao gathered all these low-value abandoned vehicles without hesitation. Even trivial items would contribute a small amount of progress toward his camper van's level up. He also picked up 2 thick industrial ropes along the roadside. After collecting more than a dozen small transport items, he spotted a much larger piece of abandoned equipment, a stalled motor scooter with a blown rear tire. He parked the camper van and hauled the broken scooter into the cargo compartment with considerable effort. He chose not to trigger the fusion process immediately, planning to gather as many unclaimed vehicles as possible first in an attempt to push his camper van straight to level 2 in one go. Detectable fusion materials. Broken motor scooter 50 intact, flat rear tire, X4 bicycles, X3 skateboards, X1 unicycle, X2 rollerblade sets, and other miscellaneous abandoned gear. 5 upgrade options available. You may select 2 improvements for fusion. Full genuine leather interior refurbishment 2. Fuel tank expansion. 58L upgraded to 120L total capacity 3. Auxiliary power system installation with rooftop solar panels plus 300-kilometer backup battery range 4. Reinforced vehicle tires with drastically improved load-bearing capacity and durability 5. Vehicle defense stat boosted from 15 to 20. These upgrades still aren't enough for a full level up. Ignoring the system prompt, Lu Hao hit the gas and drove deeper into the sandstorm's path. The closer he traveled to the storm front, the more suffocating the oppressive atmosphere became, with sand filling his entire field of vision. Still, he refused to retreat and stepped harder on the accelerator. Warning. Sandstorm is 5 kilometers away. Evacuate immediately. I have plenty of buffer distance left to search. Lu Hao kept his grip steady on the steering wheel. Warning. Sandstorm is 4 kilometers away. Evacuate immediately. I can go a little further to scavenge more materials. Warning. Sandstorm is only 2 kilometers away. Evacuate without delay. I can push just a bit farther. There has to be more abandoned vehicles ahead. Lu Hao's foot never lifted from the gas pedal. When the sandstorm closed to less than 2 kilometers away, Lu Hao spotted a bulky metallic object roughly 200 meters ahead through the haze. Jackpot. Visibility was terrible amid the swirling sand. Yet Lu Hao could tell the object was a large, heavy-duty piece of machinery. The sandstorm was merely 1,500 meters away by this point. He closed the final 100 meters at maximum speed, performing a sharp handbrake turn beside the object. The camper van teetered dangerously close to rolling over before coming to an abrupt stop. Lu Hao sprinted out of the vehicle without delay. When he got a clear look at the machine, his mood turned bittersweet. It was a walking tractor, designed originally for farmland cultivation. While it boasted strong torque output, its maximum speed topped out at only 20 kilometers per hour, far too slow to outrun the incoming sandstorm, which explained why the original owner had abandoned it early on. This was the largest vehicle he had scavenged so far and would deliver a substantial power boost during fusion. Unfortunately, the tractor weighed several hundred kilograms, far too heavy for him to lift manually into the camper van. I could fuse it right here where it sits. Sand grains stung his exposed skin as the storm drew ever nearer. But a single tractor won't be enough to hit level 2. If I head back now, I might still find more abandoned vehicles to gather. I need to max out my materials to upgrade in one go. I can't carry it into the van, so I'll tow it instead. The 2 thick ropes he had collected earlier were now put to use. Lu Hao dragged the tractor to the camper van's rear bumper, tied one end of each rope firmly to the tractor's handlebars, and secured the other end to the vehicle's tow hitch. After double-checking the stability of his knots, he scrambled back into the driver's cabin. The sandstorm was less than 100 meters away, its destructive force seconds from impact. The camper van shook violently under the pressure of raging winds. Lu Hao slammed the vehicle into drive and floored the accelerator without hesitation. The tires spun furiously against the asphalt, their screeching noise drowned out by the sandstorm's deafening howl. The storm surged forward like a colossal beast and swallowed the tractor's rear half instantly. A powerful backward pulling force jolted the entire camper van. Lu Hao gritted his teeth and kept his foot locked on the gas pedal. The storm roared relentlessly while the camper van strained against the massive drag force. At long last, the vehicle lurched forward, yanking the tractor free from the storm's grasp entirely. Lu Hao watched the sandstorm recede rapidly in his rearview mirror and exhaled a deep breath of relief. That was way too close. I nearly got buried out there. The effort had paid off. The heavy walking tractor plus his earlier collection of small discarded vehicles would grant massive vehicle improvements. even if he could not jump straight to level 2 with this batch of materials alone. This trade was well worth it. Before long, his motorhome hauled by a walking tractor pulled clear of the sandstorm. Lu Hao did not stop scavenging for valuable salvage, his eyes sweeping constantly across the road ahead. After driving another dozen kilometers, his eyes suddenly lit up. That's an excavator. A tracked excavator with a broken track sat abandoned in the middle of the roadway. Never thought I'd get such a nice surprise. This excavator will definitely upgrade my vehicle to Tier 2. Lu Hao brought the vehicle to a halt. Faced with such a massive piece of equipment, he did not hesitate for a second and initiated synthesis and upgrading on the spot. Detecting combinable vehicles. Medium excavator 60 intact, damaged left track. Step through motorcycle 50 intact, blown rear tire. 4x bicycles, 3x scooters, 1x unicycle, 2x roller skates. Full synthesis will advance your vehicle to Tier 2. Excess materials will remain after the upgrade. You may install 3 out of 5 available vehicle modules. 1. Premium full vehicle interior package, leather upholstery, dedicated rest quarters, central air conditioning, fresh air circulation system, integrated kitchen, bathroom, and entertainment facilities too. Roof-mounted heavy machine gun .51 caliber, 200 rounds of ammunition. 3. Power supply module with rooftop solar panels and a battery pack, granting a 500-kilometer driving range. 4. Reinforced tire module, triple the load-bearing capacity and durability of all tires. 5. Full steel alloy vehicle plating, triples the vehicle's physical defense rating. Lu Hao made his pick without delay. Select option 2, 4 and 5. While the luxury interior was tempting, Lu Hao knew comfort was not his priority in this harsh wasteland. The power supply module seemed practical at first glance, promising near endless driving range via solar charging. Yet prolonged cloudy weather or a complete lack of charging sources would render it useless. Thus, he settled firmly on the 3 most pragmatic upgrades: the machine gun, reinforced tires, and alloy armor plating. The gun could fend off monstrous aberrations and deter hostile players with malicious intent. Tires kept the vehicle mobile, and armor kept Lu Hao alive. Module selection confirmed. Commencing vehicle upgrade process. Every salvaged vehicle component, including the enormous excavator, instantly disintegrated into countless fragments that swarmed toward the motorhome all at once. It was as though an invisible giant hand crushed and reforged all the scrap metal into a single unified frame, leaving Lu Hao utterly amazed. In mere seconds, a vastly enlarged, imposing new motorhome materialized before his eyes. Its matte gray body was fully encased in steel alloy plating, defined by sharp, rugged contours paired with heavy-duty front bumpers and undercarriage protective skids. Lu Hao was especially pleased with the new tires, oversized military-grade steel-belted bulletproof off-road tires, far exceeding civilian manufacturing standards. The roof-mounted .51 caliber light machine gun gave him a powerful sense of security. He was even tempted to test-fire a few rounds right away. This was no ordinary motorhome anymore. It was a hardened, armored mobile combat fortress. This was the perfect vehicle for surviving the wasteland. The excavator had been a total game-changer for his build. This rig is far stronger than a standard Tier 2 vehicle. Thrill coursed through Lu Hao as he pulled up the upgraded vehicle's stat sheet. Vehicle, 4-wheel drive armored motorhome ability. Infinite synthesis God tier, unique tier, 2 weight, 12 metric tons internal volume, 20 cubic meters water tank, 400 liters 100 full defense rating. 45 plus 35 base tier, 2 defense equals 45, alloy plating bonus equals 35. Easily withstands assaults from Tier 2 aberrations. Fuel tank, 600 liters full capacity, maximum cruising range of 2,000 kilometers, equipped modules, full steel alloy plating, roof-mounted light machine gun, military-grade bulletproof off-road tires. Right after checking the stats, a new supernatural talent mystery box appeared in his inventory. Players earn 1S rank or higher supernatural ability each time their vehicle tiers up. Lu Hao wasted no time opening the box. A beam of light erupted from the container and merged directly into his body. Obtained supernatural ability. Luck Manipulation SS rank. Luck Manipulation enhances mental power, subconsciously manipulates probability, triggers fortuitous near misses, bends environmental conditions in your favor, grants a permanent passive luck aura. Ability activation consumes mental power. The skill forcibly deactivates when mental power drops to 2 points. Though this ability offered no direct physical combat boosts, its practical value was undeniable. While using it drained his mental reserves, the skill passively strengthened his mental fortitude permanently. Name: Lu Hao Highway Coin Balance. 0 base physical stats, 10 strength, agility, physical resistance, averaged mental power, 40 average human baseline equals 10, far above ordinary civilians' supernatural abilities. Vehicle symbiosis, luck manipulation, genetic lock, sealed. Liu Hao scanned his personal status panel, then recalled the system mentioning a prize draw machine inside highway service stations. Would luck manipulation influence the lottery draws? There's only one way to find out. I just wonder what currency the machine accepts. Highway coins, I assume. Glancing back at the sandstorm drawing steadily closer, Liu Hao wasted no more time. He pushed open the heavy alloy vehicle door and slipped into the driver's seat. The cockpit was now far more spacious with an unobstructed field of view. Premium leather upholstery-lined air-suspended seats, soft and supportive, worlds apart from his beat-up original van. The steering wheel and dashboard were also wrapped in textured leather, sporting a clean, rugged industrial aesthetic with impeccable build quality. Liu Hao cycled through the vehicle control functions. The machine gun module retracts into the roof structure. He pressed the corresponding control button. The exposed rooftop gun slowly folded inward, and the exterior hatch sealed shut seamlessly. Hovering digital display, backup camera with radar, climate control, fresh air system, heated and ventilated seats that swivel toward the rear living quarters. He ignited the engine. With a full 600-liter fuel tank, he no longer needed to conserve fuel and turned on the air conditioning without hesitation. Cool air circulated evenly throughout the cabin, instantly chasing away the oppressive desert heat. This is much more comfortable. Liu Hao smiled and rotated his seat toward the rear living compartment. The living area exceeded all his expectations. It featured dedicated lounge space, a compact kitchen, sleeping quarters, and a full bathroom, complete with solid wood flooring, leather sofas, lockable storage cabinets, a water dispenser, cookware, tableware, and basic hygiene supplies, including towels and toothbrushes. Apart from a lack of stockpiled consumables, the living amenities were refined and fully functional. At least I have clean water reserves. Liu Hao poured himself a glass of drinking water and took a quick wipe down with a towel to freshen up, washing away the sticky layer of sweat coating his skin. Even with 400 liters of potable water stored on board, he was not reckless enough to waste large quantities on full showers. He returned to the driver's seat, shifted into drive, and pressed on the gas. The engine roared with deep, resonant power, channeling massive torque into the 4 reinforced, bulletproof tires. The 12-ton armored vehicle surged forward like a predatory beast. Unbelievable power output. Liu Hao let out a hearty laugh and floored the accelerator, pushing the vehicle up to 100 kilometers per hour as it raced down the empty highway. Before long, he caught up to the stream of fleeing players ahead. Every person on the road stared in shock at his imposing alloy-clad motorhome. Holy hell, where did he get that truck? I never saw it earlier. That's the guy who drove back toward the sandstorm. I recognize him. He actually survived out there. He must have scored some insane salvage on his detour. I thought he'd gotten himself killed for sure. That vehicle is definitely Tier 2. He's the first player on our server to upgrade a vehicle to Tier 2. Hey man, stop the car. Can you give me a ride? Just a sip of water. I'm dying of thirst, please. Could you take me along? My tricycle is far too slow. I can help with manual labor and daily chores around your vehicle. Liu Hao tuned out the frantic pleas from outside his windows when the highway system broadcast cut through the noise. Distance to the next service station, 122 kilometers distance to Gold Rush Town. 582 kilometers, almost at the service station. What even is Gold Rush Town? Are we supposed to mine raw gold there? Let me check the global chat channel. Some players must have reached the service station already. Liu Hao had lost time stopping to scavenge wreckage, so others were bound to arrive ahead of him. Huang Feilong, the player who fled in a sports car with Wan Li, was one such person. He pulled up the chat feed, flooded with desperate messages from stranded survivors. Anyone willing to trade a bottle of water? I'll owe you a huge favor. A white skeletal aberration is chasing me down. Someone help. What kind of twisted place is this? I just want to go home and call the police. For the guy being hunted by the skeleton, stand your ground. Killing those skeletons drops supplies. Ram it with your vehicle. I only have a bicycle to get around on. Skeletal aberrations, huh? Must be the wild monsters roaming these highways. Liu Hao scanned his surroundings, but spotted no sign of the creatures nearby. He noticed the header information pinned to the top of the chat window. Highway number, 1688 surviving players, 75,774/initial 100,000. Liu Hao's heart sank. Out of 100,000 players, over 25,000 are already dead? All that carnage happened in such a short window. My assigned highway is numbered 1688. meaning there are at minimum 1,687 other parallel highways operating under this system. Factoring in this mortality rate, tens of millions of people have perished across the network already. The actual death toll is undoubtedly far higher than that rough estimate. Lu Hao drew a slow breath and tightened his grip on the steering wheel. The heavy Tier 2 armored vehicle bolstered his resolve and calmed his nerves. A system announcement scrolled across the chat feed moments later. Congratulations to player Lu Hao for being the first to upgrade a vehicle to Tier 2. Reward issued, 100 highway coins. A faint smile tugged at Lu Hao's lips. He had not anticipated a monetary reward for being the first Tier 2 vehicle owner. Updated coin balance. 100. He scrolled upward through older chat logs and spotted another player who had also reached Tier 2. Huang Feilong. Can't believe I wasn't the first to hit Tier 2. My sports car just got upgraded too. Bigger interior space, stronger defensive plating. The original Bugatti powertrain is intact with a full 100-liter fuel tank. This wasteland challenge isn't even that tough. I'm cruising in a high-performance sports car with plenty of food, water, and spare cash. Life's pretty great right now, haha. Lu Hao raised an eyebrow. Huang Feilong, the arrogant guy behind the sports car earlier? Dozens of players replied with envious comments, bombarding him with questions about his upgrade method. Run those skeletal monsters over with your car? They look intimidating, but go down easily. I crushed one under my wheels, and it dropped 2 bottles of water plus a red crystalline item labeled Tier 2 Flame Core Crystal. That crystal triggered my car's upgrade automatically. It's not complicated at all. Give it a shot yourselves. I killed a skeleton too, but only got 2 loaves of bread and a bottle of cola as loot. Begging for a tiny sip of that cola over here. My skeleton kill dropped 20 liters of diesel fuel. Jackpot. Tier 2 Flame Core Crystals. Lu Hao finally understood the standard method players use to upgrade their vehicles. Thanks to his infinite synthesis ability, he had no need for these rare crystals himself. Every other survivor, however, would scramble relentlessly to obtain them, driving up their trade value significantly in the early wasteland economy. More importantly, Lu Hao was critically low on food supplies. It's time to stockpile as many resources as I possibly can. 30 kilometers further down the highway, Lu Hao locked onto his first target. A white skeletal humanoid creature loitered amid the roadside wasteland, clutching a rusted steel pipe in its bony grip. These skeletons were not bare-boned structures, fine vein-like tissue wrapped around their frames, with a beating crimson heart nestled beneath the ribs on its left chest. 2 blazing embers burned deep within its empty eye sockets, lending the creature a deeply unsettling aura. Lu Hao spotted a mangled corpse beside the skeleton alongside an overturned off-road motorcycle, making it clear how deadly this monster could be. Its attack power is brutal, and it preys on human flesh. I'll test my armored motorhome's ramming capability first. Lu Hao veered off the paved highway without hesitation, accelerating straight toward the skeletal aberration. The uneven, rough terrain of the wasteland barely disturbed the stable, heavy chassis of his armored vehicle, leaving Lu Hao feeling only minor vibrations inside the cockpit. The skeleton immediately detected the incoming threat. Even facing a 12-ton armored vehicle, it showed no fear, bearing rows of jagged teeth and charging forward while brandishing its rusted pipe weapon. Foolish creature. Lu Hao pressed hard on the accelerator as the vehicle's engine roared to life. His vehicle boasted an overall defense rating of 80, more than sufficient to shrug off attacks from any Tier 2 aberration. He judged this skeletal enemy to be a basic Tier 1 monster, easy prey for a direct vehicular ram. His assessment proved correct. The skeleton shattered into countless bone fragments the moment it collided with the reinforced front bumper. Only its skull remained partially intact, skittering several meters across the ground, with its jaw snapping open and shut weakly as the fiery embers in its eyes dimmed. Lu Hao brought the vehicle to a stop and raised the roof-mounted machine gun without exiting the cabin. The gun came equipped with an integrated targeting system operable entirely from the driver's seat. Bang! A single bullet struck the skull dead center, blowing it into shards and snuffing out the last flicker of unnatural fire within it. The head is its critical weak point. One well-placed gunshot takes it down instantly. Lu Hao now had a clear grasp of the machine gun's firepower. 2 pineapple buns and a single bottle of cola materialized where the skeleton collapsed. No flame core crystal drop. These crystals must have an extremely low spawn rate. Lu Hao stepped out of the vehicle to collect the dropped food and drink. I wish this system had an auto-loot function. Getting out to gather every drop of supplies is such a hassle. He bit into one of the buns and scanned the surrounding area for threats before walking over to the toppled off-road motorcycle. He glanced at the mutilated player's corpse beside the wreckage and suppressed a surge of discomfort while finishing his bun. Scenes this gruesome will only grow more common from here on out. I need to adapt quickly. After finishing both buns and regaining his strength, he righted the motorcycle and rolled it beside his armored motorhome. The bike appeared nearly brand new with no visible structural damage, though its fuel tank was completely empty. Liu Hao figured it would provide minimal synthesis bonuses for his already Tier 2 vehicle. Detected combinable vehicle. Civilian off-road motorcycle 90 intact, 0 fuel remaining. Select your synthesis benefit. 1. Increase front bumper structural integrity. 2. Add 100 additional rounds to the machine gun ammo reserve. Choose option 2 without question. His bumper durability was already more than adequate. Now that he had tested the gun's effectiveness, picking off skeletons from a safe distance was far more efficient than risking close-quarters collisions. An extra 100 rounds meant 100 more skeleton targets he could eliminate from safety. Firepower was his most reliable survival asset. Once the synthesis finished, Liu Hao climbed back into the vehicle and popped open the cola bottle, drinking slowly before resuming his journey down the highway. He encountered several more wandering skeletal monsters along the route and picked them off using the roof gun. The intact skeletons moved with surprising speed and reflexes, causing him to miss his first few shots. He expended 14 bullets total to eliminate 6 skeletons, yet his marksmanship improved drastically with each kill, landing clean headshots consistently by the end of the skirmish. Bang! Liu Hao retracted the rooftop gun after taking down another skeleton beside the highway shoulder. I've killed 14 skeletons now and haven't gotten a single flame core crystal. That Huang guy must have gotten absurdly lucky with his first kill. Hopefully this next one drops the crystal I'm after. The global chat channel was flooded with players offering various supplies in exchange for flame core crystals. Very few players possessed highway coins at this stage, so nearly all trades were barter-based using basic survival goods: instant noodles, canned ham, preserved fruit, bottled beverages, and drinking water. Rarer trade items included cigarettes, melee blades, and leftover firearms scavenged from the wasteland. A small handful of fortunate players had obtained flame core crystals and successfully upgraded their own vehicles. Liu Hao had intentionally held back his luck manipulation ability while hunting skeletons, choosing only to practice his shooting accuracy and gather consumables while testing the crystal drop probability naturally. Still no crystal from the 15th kill? Wait, is that highway coin loot? Instead of food or crystal drops, a single copper coin rested on the ground where the skeleton had fallen. Liu Hao picked the coin up with a quiet chuckle. 5 highway coins isn't a bad consolation prize. I have no idea what the price levels are at the service station anyway. I'll find out soon enough once I arrive. He returned to the driver's seat and continued his skeleton culling spree along the highway. His stockpile of supplies steadily grew with every monster eliminated: 60 liters of diesel, 8 packs of instant noodles, 12 bottles of 500 milliliters mineral water, 6 meat-filled buns, 5 pineapple buns, 11 sausages, 10 highway coins. He also looted a Desert Eagle handgun loaded with 9 live rounds in its magazine. He let out an amused huff upon finding an unopened pack of feminine hygiene products among the random loot drops. When he eliminated his 20th skeletal aberration, a glowing red flame core crystal finally dropped for him. Liu Hao admired the crystal's translucent fiery red appearance for a moment before storing it alongside the Desert Eagle inside his inventory. His inventory contained 10 individual slots, each capable of holding up to 100 identical items. He reserved the inventory for high-priority valuables only, stashing all food and water inside the motorhome's built-in refrigerator instead. Liu Hao refilled 60 liters of diesel into the fuel tank and pressed onward. The chat channel was flooded with players begging for flame crystal shards. Others posted requests for fuel, food, and water. Almost all trades were barter-based, with barely anyone possessing highway coins. Some players voiced confusion over the lack of white skeleton encounters along the route. These survivors were trailing far behind Liu Hao, unaware that he had wiped out every white skeleton ahead of their position. It was not long before Liu Hao spotted another white skeleton by the roadside. I'll test my transcendent sequence ability on this one and see what loot drops. Liu Hao aimed the rooftop machine gun at the creature while activating his fortune manipulation skill. Bang! The gunshot rang out. Liu Hao could feel a mild drain on his mental energy, though the loss was negligible. Mental energy, 38, only 2 points had been consumed. His mental reserves far surpassed the average person's, and the slight expenditure would replenish naturally over time. This kill yielded generous rewards: a Tier 2 flame crystal shard, a compound bow, and 20 highway coins. Lu Hao hopped out of the armored RV without hesitation to collect the spoils. Account balance. 135. A sudden sense of danger pricked his senses, and he sharply turned his gaze toward a nearby stretch of land. A slender figure sat aboard an all-terrain sand buggy. Their eyes met briefly, and the buggy immediately wheeled around and fled the area. Lu Hao tore his eyes away and quickly climbed back into his vehicle. I need to stay vigilant. On this highway survival challenge, threats come not just from the harsh wilderness and monstrous abominations, but from other human players as well. The armored RV resumed its journey. Moments later, agonized screams echoed through the open wasteland, paired with panicked shouts. A black skeleton. It's Tier 2. Run for your lives. Lu Hao's interest spiked. A Tier 2 black skeleton? It ought to drop far superior loot. He slammed down on the gas pedal and raced toward the source of the commotion. The chaos unfolded outside an abandoned auto repair shop. 6 players piloting different vehicles scrambled desperately to escape. A pack of white skeletons brandishing iron clubs chased closely on their heels. With a thunderous crash, a towering skeleton with jet black bone structure burst out from the shop interior. It moved with startling speed, easily outpacing the horde of white skeletons in a matter of seconds. It closed the distance to a player riding a motorbike in a few leaps, raising a rusted broadsword high overhead. Swish! One clean strike severed the rider's head, blood spraying across the dusty ground. The horrifying sight froze the remaining survivors stiff with terror. No one had expected a Tier 2 monster to wield such devastating power. Stop! Don't hurt me! The closest player trembled uncontrollably, slamming on his sedan's accelerator in a blind panic. Move, damn it! Get away from here! But the black skeleton had already locked onto his position. Flickering crimson flames burned within its empty eye sockets, glowing like hellfire. It pushed off the ground in a cloud of dust and materialized directly above the sedan. Gripping its sword with both hands, it brought the blade crashing downward. Boom! The steel sedan crumpled like thin paper under the blow, split clean in 2 halves, along with the player trapped inside the wreckage. Its combat prowess dwarfed that of ordinary white skeletons by an overwhelming margin, sending cold dread shooting down the spines of the 4 remaining survivors. How can a Tier 2 monster be this powerful? We don't stand a chance against its speed. It's coming for us next. Just as the black skeleton launched itself into the air, ready to slay another victim, a deafening gunshot cut through the panic. Bang! The airborne skeleton's head jolted violently, and it stumbled clumsily upon landing. Before the 4 stunned players could process what had happened, a massive armored RV barreled into view, its imposing frame growing larger by the second. A menacing machine gun was mounted firmly atop the vehicle. The gun roared to life, unleashing sustained automatic fire in a blanket of suppressing gunfire. The black skeleton had no time to steady its stance before dozens of bullets slammed into its blackened bones in quick succession. Sparks flew with every impact, accompanied by the shrill scrape of metal against dense skeletal tissue. RRRGH. The black skeleton let out a pained roar, the crimson fire in its sockets blazing wildly. It tried to block the incoming hail of bullets with its rusted sword, yet the barrage was far too dense. In only a few seconds, over 100 rounds struck its body. Crack! To the utter shock of the onlookers, the skeleton's skull was pried wide open by the concentrated gunfire. A final bullet struck dead center into its fiery eye socket. The skull detonated entirely. The black skeleton collapsed into a scattered pile of broken bones, permanently defeated. Bright light washed over the wreckage, revealing a glowing crimson crystal shard, a large drum of fuel, a pile of gleaming highway coins, and a sealed vial of liquid medicine. The valuable drops left the 4 players staring in open-mouthed awe. Good heavens, the loot rate for Tier 2 monsters is insane. That's a flame crystal shard. A drop from a Tier 2 foe. This has to be a Tier 3 vehicle flame crystal. That fuel drum must hold at least 200 liters. Look at all those highway coins. There have to be hundreds right there. Is that a healing potion? I've never seen medical supplies drop from monsters before. Still, none dared step forward to claim the loot. No rational person would dare provoke the owner of an RV armed with such devastating firepower. Picking up the goods would only cost them their lives. Gunfire rang out once more, picking off the trailing white skeletons with precise headshots, 1 bullet for each monster. Creatures that posed a deadly threat to average players were reduced to stationary targets, dropping resources with every collapse. Silence fell once the last white skeleton was eliminated. The 4 survivors stared at the halted armored RV and the smoldering machine gun turret, swallowing hard with a mix of awe and envy. They peered toward the windshield, but the RV's elevated chassis and reflective glass blocked any view of the driver within. That's definitely a Tier 2 vehicle, right? Tier 2 vehicles don't pack this much firepower. This might even be Tier 3. He single-handedly crushed a Tier 2 black skeleton with ease. He's unbelievably strong. Sir, please let us tag along. I'll work as your manual labor with no complaints. Me too. We'll be satisfied with just basic meals to survive. The four players gazed at the vehicle with desperate hope, longing to attach themselves to this powerful stranger and escape the constant mortal terror plaguing their daily lives. A frigid voice drifted out from inside the RV, while the machine gun turret rotated to aim directly at the group, instantly extinguishing their hopes entirely. Leave. Understood. The four hastily boarded their vehicles and fled the scene without delay. Once Lu Hao confirmed the area was clear of hidden dangers and other lurking players, he stepped out holding his Desert Eagle pistol to collect all the dropped supplies. He had not anticipated how resilient the black skeleton proved to be. Over 100 bullets were required to bring it down, even with the assistance of his fortune manipulation ability. The skill guided each bullet toward critical weak points on the monster's body. Otherwise, he likely would have emptied his entire ammunition magazine. Though 10 points of mental energy had been spent, the overall rewards were well worth the cost. This Tier 3 flame crystal is probably one of a kind for now. 200 liters of fuel, 300 highway coins. My total balance is now 435 coins. Wait, what is this potion labeled here? A genetic enhancement serum. Lu Hao stowed the Tier 3 crystal, fuel, and coins into his inventory pouch before picking up the serum to examine its description. Primary genetic enhancement serum. Boosts overall physical attributes, and serves as a foundational reagent required to unlock the genetic lock. A grin spread across Lu Hao's face. I've finally found the method to break my genetic lock. It'll also strengthen my physical stats across the board. I'll test its effects immediately. He quickly cleared the rest of the battlefield, gathering all resources left by the fallen white skeletons. Compressed biscuits, bread, instant noodles, carbonated drinks, cigarettes, lighters, military knives, and more littered the ground. While no additional Tier 2 vehicle crystals dropped, Lu Hao was pleasantly surprised to find a packaged steak and a self-heating hot pot meal. I can treat myself to a proper meal for once. As he reached down to pick up the hot pot package, a sharp whistling sound cut through the air. His heightened mental perception alerted him instantly. He spun around to see an arrow hurtling straight toward his position. He made no attempt to dodge. The projectile sailed past his shoulder. Crack! The arrow buried itself deep in a white skeleton skull a dozen meters behind him, felling the monster instantly. Excellent marksmanship, Lu Hao commented sincerely. He recognized the archer as the girl who had driven the sand buggy earlier. She had parked her vehicle roughly 100 meters away and stood on foot, slowly retracting her compound bow. Her dark hair was tied into a neat ponytail, a cloth mask covering the lower half of her face. She wore a plain white tank top paired with denim shorts. Her frame was lean and athletic, with a naturally healthy physique brimming with youthful vitality. Lu Hao noted her poised, athletic build with quiet admiration. The archer held no hostile intent. Had she meant him harm, the arrow would have been aimed at his body rather than the nearby skeleton. The young woman made no move to leave. Do you possess a Tier 2 flame crystal? Her soft voice carried over on the dry wasteland wind. Lu Hao remained outside the RV for a moment before climbing back inside. Even with her seemingly harmless demeanor, he refused to expose himself to a potential surprise arrow strike. The enclosed cabin offered far greater safety. He rolled down the car window and replied in a calm tone. I have Tier 2 crystals. What are you offering in exchange? You really have one? Excitement colored her voice. After a brief pause, she spoke again. I have 80 highway coins plus stockpiled food and fresh water. All of it can be traded to you. That will not be nearly enough, Lu Hao replied evenly. The girl fell silent, well aware her current goods held far less value than the crystal. She gritted her teeth and made another offer. I own a digital map of the skeleton wasteland. This map is more valuable than a Tier 2 crystal, so you'll need to add extra items on your end of the deal. A digital map? Lu Hao grew interested at once. He fully understood how vital navigational data was within this lawless territory. A detailed map would let him pinpoint key landmarks with precision, instead of wandering blindly through the wilderness by sheer luck. Very well. What additional item do you want from me? The compound bow you picked up earlier, she answered without hesitation. I see. You had your eye on that weapon the whole time. Lu Hao chuckled, realizing she had witnessed him looting the bow after the previous skeleton kill. I agree to the trade, but I need to verify the authenticity of the map first. I can't hand it over first. What if you cheat me out of my map? The girl responded warily. I could simply take the map from you by force right now, yet I have chosen to negotiate fairly, Lu Hao said with a relaxed smile. The girl glanced up at the black muzzle of the machine gun mounted atop the RV. She knew she stood no chance of defending herself against him if he turned hostile. The RV's heavy armor would easily block any arrows she loosed. She steeled herself. I'll trust you this once. Wait right here. She sprinted back to her sand buggy and returned shortly after, parking the vehicle alongside Lu Hao's armored RV. Standing beside the towering vehicle, she tilted her head upward in obvious wonder. Your vehicle is enormous. Lu Hao leaned against the open window and looked down at her. Dust coated her skin and clothing, smudges of dirt visible across her exposed limbs. Her facial features were hidden behind the mask, but her large, clear eyes held a quiet resolve rarely seen in most survivors. Your buggy is solid as well. Hand over the map first. The girl pulled out a fingernail-sized data chip and held it out, quickly snatching her hand back with lingering anxiety. Promise you one won't swindle me. Remove your face mask, and I give you my word. Absolutely not. Take the chip. Lu Hao inserted the chip into the designated slot on his vehicle's control console. A detailed topographical map instantly loaded onto the dashboard screen. It marked countless landmarks, clearly pinpointing the nearest service station and Gold Rush town, with accurate distance readings matching the system prompts he had received. A built-in live position tracker displayed their current location beside the abandoned auto repair shop. For the first time, Lu Hao learned this stretch of wasteland was officially named the Skeleton Wasteland. The wasteland stretches 10,000 kilometers long and 200 kilometers wide, with only a single highway cutting through this zone. Other highway zones are likely comparable in size, with thousands of these isolated roadways spanning this entire realm. The scale of this world is unimaginably vast. Have you finished checking the map? The girl's voice pulled him back to the present. Lu Hao met her gaze through the window. Don't call me you. My name is Lu Hao. What should I call you? Yang Xiaoxiu. Hand over my items now. The girl replied briskly. Lu Hao tossed the Tier 2 flame crystal, and the compound bowed toward her. On a whim, he threw an extra sealed package alongside the traded goods. A complimentary gift? I have no personal use for it. Recognizing the packaging for feminine hygiene products, Yang Xiaoxiu flushed faintly and quickly stowed the package away in her bag. Thank you, she murmured quietly. She started her sand buggy's engine and sped off into the wasteland within moments. Lu Hao closed the vehicle window once she vanished from sight, then retrieved the primary genetic enhancement serum and twisted open its cap to drink the contents in one gulp. A strange reaction spread through his body almost immediately. Waves of scorching heat, tingling numbness, and dull muscle soreness washed over his tissues. The discomfort faded quickly, replaced by a surge of vigorous vitality coursing through every inch of his body. Lu Hao clenched his fists and flexed his now denser, firmer muscle groups, a surge of elation welling up inside him. My overall physical strength has at minimum doubled. Name, Lu Hao. Account balance, 435 highway coins. Overall physical stats, 20 equal distribution across strength, agility, and defense. Mental energy, 33/40ths. Gradually regenerating transcendent sequences, vehicle symbiosis, fortune manipulation. Genetic lock, sealed inventory, Tier 3 flame crystal, desert eagle pistol. He dismissed the personal status interface and stepped out of the RV again. He threw several punches into the open air and performed a few jumping movements. He was acclimating to his stronger, more agile physique with a satisfied smile. Now it is time to upgrade my vehicle via the synthesis function. 2 players had perished during the Black Skeleton assault, and Lu Hao had no intention of leaving their abandoned vehicles unused. The sedan had been split in half and was irreparable, while the street motorcycle sustained only minor damage with 13% fuel remaining in its tank. Detectable salvageable vehicles for synthesis. Entry-level street motorcycle 80 intact, 13 fuel reserve. Grade a compact sedan permanently damaged, beyond repair. Select 2 upgrades from the 3 available options below. 1 that reinforce the front crash barrier durability, 2 that add 200 reserve rounds for the rooftop light machine gun, 3 that expand total fuel tank capacity by 200 liters. Lu Hao made his decision without hesitation. Select options 2 and 3. The rooftop machine gun had expended well over 100 rounds during the Black Skeleton fight, making ammunition replenishment a necessity. A larger fuel tank would also drastically improve his long-distance driving range. The motorcycle and wrecked sedan were disassembled completely, their raw materials merging seamlessly into the armored RV's framework. Lu Hao poured the 200 liters of scavenged fuel into the upgraded tank. Vehicle, 4-wheel drive armored RV ability. Infinite synthesis God tier, unique passive vehicle rank. Tier 2 gross weight, 12 tons internal living space, 20 cubic meters water storage tank, 397 400 liters. Defense rating, 45 plus 35. 45 equals standard Tier 2 vehicle defense. 35 comes from bonded alloy steel plating modules, capable of fully resisting assaults from Tier 2 anomalous monsters. Fuel tank capacity, 760/800 liters. Maximum cruising range of 2,530 kilometers. Installed modules, full body alloy steel armor plating, roof-mounted light machine gun. 330 total rounds. Radial bulletproof off-road tires. Lu Hao returned to the RV's living quarters and headed for the built-in shower to wash up, consuming 20 liters of stored water in the process. Refreshing. He toweled off and changed into a bathrobe, tossing his soiled garments into the onboard washing machine. The washer consumed a small volume of water, but his abundant water reserves eliminated any risk of shortage for drinking or daily use. Condensed water from the vehicle's air conditioning system continuously refilled the water tank, creating a sustainable circulation loop. He grabbed a cold beverage from the built-in refrigerator and settled onto the soft sofa to rest comfortably for a while. Once he finished the drink, he prepared a serving of instant noodles for a warm meal. With his stomach full and his mental energy fully restored to peak levels, he resumed driving toward his destination while keeping an eye on the global player chat channel. Some players have already reached the service station. Lu Hao checked his map. His current position sat less than 50 kilometers away from the facility. Players occupying the 1688 highway chat channel were actively discussing the service station's amenities. Everything here costs highway coins. It's ridiculous. A single bottle of water costs 2 coins. This is outright robbery. The fuel prices here are even higher than out in the wasteland. Who's running this exploitative operation? Vehicle repair fees are astronomical too. 30 coins to patch a motorcycle tire, 80 for a car tire, total price gouging. The only free service is the restrooms, but there isn't any running water to flush the toilets. How are we supposed to clean up after using them then? I watched waste drop straight into some kind of void portal after use. I swear it's real. Disgusting. I spent just 1 coin on the station lottery machine and won a canned beef meal. Everyone should try their luck. Only 1 coin per draw? What other rewards can you win? All sorts of supplies, flame crystals, even overpowered vehicle modules, including an infinite fuel module. Infinite fuel is the prize I've been dreaming of. A Tier 2 sports car driver named Huang Feilong spent barely a dozen coins and pulled a rocket artillery module. Imagine a Bugatti launching rocket shells from its front bumper. No one dares pick a fight with him anymore. Don't get your hopes up too high. I drew 20 times in a row and only got a single bottle of plain water. This lottery is a scam that drains our coins. Surviving comfortably on these deadly highway roads clearly hinges entirely on sheer luck. Half an hour later, Lu Hao finally pulled into the service station premises. He encountered 0 anomalous monsters or abandoned salvageable vehicles along the final stretch of road. The service station appeared dilapidated, abandoned for decades, yet every surviving player inside looked visibly relieved. This marked a designated safe zone. Monsters could not breach the station boundaries. Player-on-player violence was strictly prohibited. Solid structures offered shelter from the harsh sun and harsh weather. Lu Hao checked the global survival count display. 32,689 survivors remaining out of the original 100,000 participants. Only roughly 30,000 people are still alive. Most survivors are still stuck on the initial highway segment, and it looks like merely dozens have managed to reach this service station. Before entering the station grounds, Lu Hao parked the RV long enough to change into freshly washed, dried clothing before driving the armored vehicle into the safe zone. The imposing armored RV immediately drew every occupant's attention the moment it rolled into the station parking area. Is that actually a recreational vehicle? The entire body is reinforced with steel plates at least 2 centimeters thick. It looks absolutely formidable. Look at those radial bulletproof off-road tires. That build is insane. It's basically a mobile fortress. I can only imagine how secure someone would feel riding inside that thing. Boss Biao, is that vehicle Tier 2 grade? It's far stronger than a standard Tier 2 unit. This might very well be Tier 3. How did someone upgrade their vehicle to Tier 3 this quickly? Conversations buzzed among the gathered crowd as the armored RV rolled to a gradual stop. Lu Hao stepped out gripping his Desert Eagle pistol, his sharp gaze sweeping across every person present. Most players instinctively averted their eyes. The vehicle itself exuded an overwhelming aura of intimidation, and anyone capable of upgrading an RV to such a brutal standard was clearly not an individual to provoke. "Brother, let me introduce myself." A burly, stern-faced bald man wearing a black tank top walked forward, pulling a pack of cigarettes from his pocket. He offered one to Lu Hao with a hearty grin. "Everyone calls me Boss Biao around here. Have a premium cigarette on me." "I appreciate the gesture, but I don't smoke." Lu Hao declined politely. Boss Biao placed the cigarette between his own lips, lit it, and took a deep drag before gesturing toward a large cargo truck parked nearby. "That's my vehicle, only basic Tier 1 quality." "Your RV is incredible. Surely it's Tier 3. All nearby players pricked up their ears. They were eager to hear Lu Hao's answer. If the vehicle truly was Tier 3, the gap between ordinary survivors and this mysterious newcomer would be devastatingly wide. "It's only barely upgraded to Tier 2, Lu Hao replied calmly. "Its intimidating appearance is just for show. Its actual combat performance isn't overpowering. It doesn't even match your truck in total weight." Boss Biao let out a loud laugh. "Mass means nothing when the truck is slow and cumbersome, only durable against impacts. Might I know your name, brother?" "Lu is my surname," Lu Hao replied concisely. "Brother Lu." Boss Biao's grin faded into a serious expression. "I'd like to formally invite you to join my group. This brutal wasteland is far deadlier alone. Banding together with more survivors is the most reliable way to stay alive. I already lead a team of more than a dozen members. Should you accept, you will hold the rank of vice captain immediately." Lu Hao noted the natural emergence of organized survivor factions, an inevitable development within this cruel survival world. Still, he had no plans to align with any group for the time being. He shook his head gently. "Thank you for the offer, but I have no interest in joining any teams for now." Before Boss Biao could respond, Lu Hao asked, "I heard about a player named Huang Feilong with a Tier 2 vehicle. I don't see him anywhere around here." Irritated by Lu Hao's rejection and suspecting he intended to seek out Huang Feilong's faction instead, Boss Biao answered dismissively. "He left with a group of followers recently to establish his own dragon society. You could still catch up if you hurry, but that hot-headed young man lacks the temperament to lead a group effectively. Thanks for the information." Lu Hao offered no further explanation and walked deeper into the service station complex. Boss Biao huffed coldly at his retreating figure, gesturing to his group members to keep Lu Hao under constant observation. Like every first-time visitor, Lu Hao toured the entire station. He inspected the automated repair garage. Vehicles driven into the bay received full automatic repairs in exchange for highway coins. Automated vending machines lined another section, stocked with supplies, equipment, and even vehicle modules, though the asking prices were shockingly inflated. A rooftop machine gun module identical to Lu Hao's cost 10,000 highway coins alone. Grinding monster kills would never earn enough currency to purchase such gear through normal farming. Heavy machine guns and artillery modules carried price tags starting at 100,000 coins and above. The infinite fuel module bore an utterly staggering price label. 500,000 coins for a single module? That's absurd. Thankfully, I don't need to rely on purchasing modules directly. Otherwise, assembling a full high-tier loadout would take years to afford. Lu Hao mused quietly to himself. Obtaining the infinite fuel module through vehicle synthesis will require harvesting extremely powerful unclaimed vehicles out in the wasteland. Lu Hao's final stop was the station lottery machine. The massive machine displayed a dense grid of potential prize icons across its surface. Each draw cost merely one highway coin, drawing countless survivors hoping to strike valuable gear with minimal investment. Expensive vehicle modules sat among the reward pool, fueling the widespread hope of turning a single coin into life-changing loot with a stroke of luck. Lu Hao shared this faint sense of optimism, bolstered by his unique fortune manipulation transcendent sequence. "I'll hold off using my fortune ability for now and test my natural luck first." Lu Hao inserted one highway coin into the payment slot. Two buttons were embedded on the control panel, a red button for standard draws and a black blind draw button. Selecting blind draw hid the reward display from onlookers. Claimed prizes were deposited straight into the player's inventory pouch automatically. A physical prize chute sat along the machine's lower frame for tangible item distribution. The machine screen lit up, displaying total draw count. 1. Lu Hao pressed the standard draw button. A bright light streaked rapidly across the screen's prize grid like a spinning marquee, flickering non-stop over the dozens of listed rewards. That newcomer is trying the lottery. Anyone who owns such a powerful vehicle must be loaded with highway coins. Let's gather around and watch what reward he pulls. Upon seeing Lu Hao activate the lottery machine, multiple survivors wandered over to crowd around and observe the outcome of his draw. Wang Biao led his crew over and lit a cigarette, watching the scene with total composure. The glowing dot on the screen soon came to a halt, locking onto a single spot. Better luck next time? Chuckles rippled through the crowd, not out of mockery. Everyone knew coming away empty-handed was the usual outcome after countless attempts. Several among them had drained their meager savings chasing grand prizes, left penniless in the process. Even so, they derived quiet comfort from seeing others suffer the same misfortune. Witnessing someone strike big hurt far worse than losing yourself. Standing before the lottery machine, Lu Hao wore a calm expression. He inserted another highway token and pressed the draw button once more. Brother Lu, single draws never get you anywhere. Bulk pulls are the smart way to go and save you time too, Wang Biao called out with a grin. He's right. Multiple draws bring miracles. Go for a 10 pull, someone shouted in agreement. I didn't know that was an option. Lu Hao glanced at the screen, which once again displayed the standard losing message. I'll try the 10 draws then. He fed 10 highway tokens into the slot. Remaining lottery attempts, 10. He slowly raised his hand to hit the activation key, unleashing his fate manipulation ability at full power the moment his finger made contact. A sharp buzz rang inside his skull, and a massive chunk of his mental strength was drained away in an instant, 35 points gone in one blow. Damn, that cost way more energy than I expected. Panic flitted through his mind, though the 5 remaining mental points were just enough to keep him conscious and stable. Exclamations suddenly erupted from the onlookers. Lu Hao lifted his head to watch the 10 light dots dart across the display, with the first one settling onto a reward slot. He hit something. A full case of cola. Told you bulk pulls work out. A whole dozen bottles in that crate. Whoa, another case of sparkling lemon soda. What insane luck. 2 wins back to back. Better luck next time. Better luck next time. Thank goodness for the misses. Otherwise I'd be seething with envy. The last still hasn't stopped moving. What's taking it so long? No way, it drifted upward into the grand prize zone. A flicker of excitement stirred within Lu Hao as he fixed his gaze on the slowing light. The area the dot hovered over held vehicle modification modules. He watched helplessly as it brushed past the infinite fuel module before continuing its drift. The spectators were growing more frantic with each passing second. Infinite fuel? It skipped it. Tank artillery module, gone again. Cheers and gasps echoed nonstop, the crowd far more hyped than Lu Hao himself, the one actually running the lottery. Abruptly, the lottery screen cut to black. A roar of frustration burst from the gathered players. They blocked the view right at the crucial moment. That's low. That's downright cruel, man. This torture is worse than being injured out here. Tell us what module you got, and I'll treat you to preserved sausages. Wang Biao wore a complicated, bitter smile as he spoke up. Brother Lu, that's hardly fair. Spill what module you earned for the rest of us. Lu Hao shook his head, drained from the mental strain. Sorry, I can't share that information. Revealing his newly acquired module would only bring excessive awe, greedy jealousy, or even hostile covetousness toward him. There was zero benefit to disclosing it. Completely worn thin from overexerting his mental power, he paid no heed to the surrounding crowd and walked straight toward his armored motorhome, unlocking the door and climbing inside. Everyone stared helplessly at the sealed, fortress-like vehicle cabin. No clue what module he scored, but look how heavily modified his ride is. He's sitting on a mountain of supplies, prime target for us. Wang Biao's eyes narrowed with malicious schemes. He exchanged a knowing glance with his most trusted teammate. Chong, how many RPG rounds do you have left? Li Chong, the sharp-featured man with a thin mustache, instantly caught his leader's intent, yet hesitated. Boss, this kid isn't ordinary. Recruiting him into our crew would strengthen our forces immensely. That's the smarter play. What if he refuses to join, or signs up with another faction instead? Then he becomes our enemy, Wang Biao retorted coldly. Li Chong fell silent, mulling over the harsh reality of this lawless wasteland of highway survival. He knew Wang Biao was ruthless, never letting any chance to bolster his group slip by. Anyone who could not be an ally was an enemy to be eliminated for resources. Still, Li Chong deemed direct confrontation too risky. Our top priority right now is upgrading your heavy truck to Tier 2. Once that's done, dealing with him will be trivial, won't it? Wang Biao acknowledged the logic. Even in its Tier 1 state, his engineering heavy truck dominated the first highway segment through sheer weight and brute force, crushing obstacles and looting countless materials. The only misfortune was his failure to loot a Tier 2 ignition crystal required for the upgrade. He could barely imagine how unstoppable his truck would become after the evolution. He won't be leaving the service station anytime soon. We'll bide our time and trade with other players for the ignition crystal. The whole team will pool all our resources to get that crystal for you no matter what, Li Chang reassured him. Wang Biao stared hard at Lu Hao's armored motorhome. We wait for now. Once my heavy truck evolves to Tier 2, if this kid still turns down our offer, we'll flatten that metal box into scrap metal. Inside the armored motorhome meanwhile, Lu Hao watched Wang Biao and Li Chang walk away before pulling his gaze inward. They've definitely marked me as a target. I knew this would happen sooner or later. He had long prepared himself for such hostility. Let them try. I will always grow stronger, more decisive than any of these scavengers. Lu Hao opened his inventory panel to inspect the module he had just obtained by expending fate manipulation. It was neither infinite fuel, nor any combat or defensive upgrade. Instead, it was an overlooked, highly coveted piece of equipment, the anti-gravity levitation module. Anti-gravity levitation module ignores all-terrain obstacles, adjusts gravitational pull dynamically to maintain stable ground adhesion or lift off for emergency evasion, drastically expanding viable travel routes. Maximum hovering height caps at 5 meters based on vehicle mass, paired with integrated solar fusion panels for passive continuous energy replenishment. This module ranked among the most premium survival gear for wilderness travel, granting full terrain mobility alongside the element of surprise during combat encounters to strike back against foes. Worth draining my mental reserves completely to get my hands on top-tier equipment like this. A satisfied smile tugged at Lu Hao's lips. Without delay, he installed the anti-gravity levitation module onto his motorhome. No visible changes appeared on the vehicle's body aside from a brand new solar fusion panel mounted across the roof. Convenient voice command functionality saves me fumbling with manual controls. Lu Hao quickly familiarized himself with the module's operation systems. He glanced out the window to see daylight fading fast. Night was closing in. My mental energy is wiped out. I need to sleep it off. He ate a simple meal before collapsing onto the soft bed. Once my mental stats fully regenerate, I'll head back to the lottery machine for another round of pulls. Relaxing into the steady 26-degree cool air from the vehicle air conditioner, he unwound completely and drifted into sleep. At that exact moment, a tall, high-clearance off-road vehicle rumbled into the rest stop, drawing every player's gaze instantly. The driver turned down every party invitation sent their way and parked directly beside Lu Hao's armored motorhome. Wang Biao frowned in confusion. Are these two working together? Two Tier 2 vehicles parked side by side sparked rampant speculation across the rest stop. A single Tier 2 vehicle within a group was already considered peak power, possessing two meant overwhelming dominance over everyone else. A wave of despair washed over most survivors, while others latched onto a simple plan. If you cannot beat them, join them. Wang Biao felt no anxiety whatsoever. Instead, he was brimming with confidence. He had finally acquired a Tier 2 ignition crystal and successfully upgraded his engineering heavy truck. Gazing at his colossal, rugged truck remodeled into a towering machine reminiscent of Optimus Prime, Wang Biao believed he had become an unstoppable force. Two Tier 2 rides mean nothing combined compared to half the power of my truck. My Optimus truck is unbeatable. He laughed triumphantly, convinced he could overpower both vehicles with ease. Following Li Chang's suggestion, he resolved to extend one final recruitment offer first. I'm giving you one last chance. Reject this goodwill, and don't blame us for seizing your supplies by force. Perched high inside his Tier 2 engineering truck, Wang Biao sneered down at the armored motorhome and the off-road vehicle parked nearby. 3 hours later, Lu Hao woke from his slumber. He peered out at the dilapidated rest stop bathed in dim yellow streetlights. Dozens of unique vehicles now filled the parking lot. Occupants of open-frame rides huddled against the bitter wind, shivering nonstop. The vehicle thermometer registered temperatures hovering just above 0 Celsius outdoors. 40 degrees during the day, near freezing at night, classic desert climate swings. Lu Hao swung his legs over the bed and stretched his limbs, feeling fully refreshed with his mental strength fully restored. He planned to revisit the lottery machine for another series of draws. I'm not sure how much longer until the sandstorm hits this rest stop. Better wrap up my lottery pulls and hit the road to be safe. Lu Hao opened the cabin door, and frigid wind washed over him. Dressed only in a short-sleeved shirt, he merely wrinkled his brow faintly. His overall physical stat had risen to 20, rendering near-freezing temperatures trivial for his body to withstand. Whose off-road vehicle is this, parked so close to my motorhome? As he puzzled over the unfamiliar vehicle, its door swung open to reveal a familiar figure. Yang Xiaoxiu, you upgraded your vehicle? Yang Xiaoxiu kept her face concealed behind a mask, wearing an oversized denim jacket scavenged from somewhere that draped loosely over her frame. She still wore denim shorts, with faint smudges of mud staining her long, pale legs. The composite bow Lu Hao had traded her was slung over her back, paired with a bamboo quiver brimming with arrows. Her mismatched outfit looked distinctly awkward in the harsh wasteland setting. Yep, no more enduring harsh weather out in the open, Yang Xiaoxu replied in a bright tone. Heading somewhere? She asked next. Going to use the lottery machine, Lu Hao answered concisely. I'll come with you. Yang Xiaoxu hopped down from her tall vehicle. Its tires stretched a full 1.5 meters in diameter, while the vehicle body featured soft, rounded contours shaped much like a high-speed train's nose. No running boards were fitted, forcing her to jump up and down to enter or exit the cabin. Let's go. Lu Hao did not turn her down. Open combat was strictly forbidden within rest-stop boundaries. Though no player knew the exact penalties for breaking this rule, the official highway system regulation deterred everyone from starting fights here. Their emergence from their vehicles immediately drew the eyes of every survivor lingering nearby. They definitely know each other. No one stands a chance against a pair of Tier 2 vehicle users teaming up. Don't be so sure. Wang Biao's Optimus truck weighs over 20 tons. It could total any car in a direct collision. Boss Wang also commands a crew of more than a dozen men. Their faction rivals the strength of the Flying Dragon Gang. The pair are heading for the lottery machine now. That Lu guy scored a rare module last time he played. He's back for more lucky pulls. A stream of murmurs swirled around them as Lu Hao and Yang Xiaoxu reached the lottery terminal. The machine operated with simple controls, and Yang Xiaoxu tried a single draw first. Predictably, the screen showed a losing result. She tried multiple consecutive pulls next, and this time she won an item, a full set of formal-made uniform. Cheers and whistles erupted from the watching crowd, predominantly male survivors. Yang Xiaoxu flushed red and clicked her tongue in embarrassment. Ugh, why did it have to be this kind of item? Lu Hao pulled his focus away from the image displayed on the screen and offered a tip. Switch to blind draw mode. The crowd won't be able to view your prizes then. Good idea. Yang Xiaoxu quickly activated blind draws. She had spotted all manner of trivial junk listed on the prize sheet, vehicle lamp covers, basic clothing items included. She had no desire to endure public embarrassment if another awkward reward popped up. She stopped drawing after several more attempts, her tone dejected with no valuable rewards to show for her tokens. I'm done wasting tokens here. It's your turn. Lu Hao nodded, inserting 10 highway tokens and launching a blind 10 pull sequence. He activated fate manipulation once again, his mental reserves draining completely and making his body stagger slightly. Are you all right? Are you sick? Yang Xiaoxu asked with concern. Seeing his short sleeves in the frigid air, she assumed he had caught a cold from the low temperatures. Lu Hao shook his head weakly. I'm fine. Let's head back. Yang Xiaoxu asked no further questions and followed him away from the lottery machine. The spectators grew bored with the anticlimactic scene, hoping to witness either a devastating loss or an impressive jackpot. Aside from the awkward made uniform pull, they had nothing to watch. Multiple players swarmed forward to offer party alliances as Lu Hao walked back to his vehicle, Wang Biao included. Yet Lu Hao declined every single proposal. Several female survivors approached him with friendly overtures hoping to team up for mutual survival, which he also politely turned down. When they reached their parked vehicles, Yang Xiaoxu hesitated with unspoken words lingering on her tongue. I wanted to ask you something, never mind. Farewell. She planted a hand on the large tire to haul herself upward and disappeared inside her off-road vehicle. Lu Hao paid her odd behavior no mind. Draining his mental power twice in a row left his head throbbing faintly, and all he craved was rest. Back inside his motorhome, he sank onto the sofa and opened his inventory to check his latest lottery haul. Another module had dropped, a life support utility, the infinite water tank. It was just one tier below the coveted infinite fuel module, yet Lu Hao felt no disappointment. Infinite fuel would demand an even steeper mental cost to activate fate manipulation successfully. I need to find ways to raise my maximum mental capacity for future use. There has to be a method out there. I'll keep an eye out for relevant clues. He also urgently needed reagents to unlock his genetic lock at the current stage. Lu Hao opened the Highway Systems Public Trade Board and scanned the listings, finding 0 listings for genetic reagents up for sale. Figures. Such rare consumables are kept for personal use by whoever loots them. A new trade message caught his eye, posted by Huang Feilong, the man who drove a high-performance sports car. Huang Feilong. Anyone holding a Tier 3 ignition crystal can name your price. I'll offer protection once I grow stronger. Message me privately. Lu Hao checked his own inventory, which held what was likely the sole Tier 3 ignition crystal across the entire server channel. He could set any asking price he wished for it. Still, he would never sell the crystal to that arrogant Huang Feilong, who had rubbed him the wrong way during their previous encounter. Lu Hao planned to settle scores with the man sooner or later. Lu Hao, seeking basic genetic reagent. Contact me via private message if you possess stock. He spent 1 highway token to post the public trade request, and private messages flooded his inbox shortly afterward. A message popped up first. Want some company? I'm right here in the rest stop. I can come over to your motorhome and we can discuss survival strategies together. Lu Hao ignored the unnecessary advance and responded directly. Do you have basic genetic reagents available? I don't have basic reagents, but I know an experimental genetic adaptation process you could try. It'll be a comfortable experience for you. Lu Hao blocked the sender immediately, purging all messages from anyone sending inappropriate propositions. After clearing out several more irrelevant private messages, Lu Hao let out a quiet sigh of frustration. Just as he grew disheartened, another private notification arrived. I have basic genetic reagents in my possession. Lu Hao checked the sender's username, Yang Xiaoxiu. Surprise flickered across his face as he typed a reply. Aren't you saving these reagents for your own use? Yang Xiaoxiu replied, I'm too scared to use them. Why the hesitation? Lu Hao typed in curiosity. A long pause followed before her response appeared. I'm afraid the reagent will trigger physical mutation in my body. Lu Hao let out a quiet chuckle. He did not bother explaining that the reagent only strengthened human physiology with no mutation risks. Instead, moving straight to negotiation. What are you asking for in exchange? 500 highway tokens. The price was reasonable. These reagents were never stocked in automated vending machines, and stamina-boosting consumables were incredibly scarce with no stable market supply in the wasteland. Lu Hao was unwilling to pass up this rare opportunity. I only have 400 tokens right now. Could I cover the remaining 100 with surplus supplies? He originally held 435 highway tokens, spending 22 on his lottery attempts to leave him with 413 tokens total. I don't need material goods. You can owe me the 100 tokens for later repayment. Lu Hao was taken aback by her generosity. Their first trade had built a baseline of trust between them. Yet the girl was surprisingly trusting to offer credit after only their second meeting. I have one more request to make, Yang Xiaoxiu messaged afterward. Go ahead. Would I be allowed to use the shower in your motorhome? I won't waste much water, only 8 liters at most, and I can manage with cold water if hot is inconvenient for you. Inside her off-road vehicle, Yang Xiaoxiu instantly regretted sending the message, convinced her request was far too presumptuous. While drinking water was not a scarce resource in the rest stop, practically no survivor wasted precious water reserves on bathing. He does have a working shower in his motorhome, but he'll never agree to this request. I was far too forward, she thought anxiously, and began typing a retraction. I'm sorry, my request was inappropriate. Before she could finish typing the apology, Lu Hao's reply popped up on her screen. Come on over. Joy washed over Yang Xiaoxiu instantly. She threw open her vehicle door and jumped down to the ground, rushing straight for the motorhome, whose outer door stood open for her already. The moment she stepped inside, warm spring-like air wrapped around her, carrying a faint, gentle floral scent. The motorhome was fully furnished with a bed, sofa, refrigerator, cooking counter, and every essential household amenity, resembling a tidy, cozy studio apartment. Is this a safe haven? Yang Xiaoxiu stared in stunned disbelief. Other survivors endured constant hardship out in the wasteland. She herself had weathered harsh open-air travel on a beach buggy until recently. Even with her newly upgraded Tier 2 vehicle, she rationed water and power strictly, refusing to turn on air conditioning or wash herself to conserve resources. Lu Hao meanwhile ran constant temperature control, fresh air circulation, overhead lighting, and even had a pot simmering on the induction stove. The level of comfort felt unbelievably luxurious by wasteland standards. What are you standing there daydreaming for? Go take your shower first, then we can complete our trade. Lu Hao sat on the sofa, sipping a bottle of cola. Yang Xiaoxiu snapped back to her senses, growing so flustered that she did not know where to place her hands. I'm so sorry. I forgot to take my shoes off and got your floor dirty. She scrambled hurriedly to remove her footwear as she spoke. It's fine. This small patch of mess is easy to clean. Go wash up quickly, Lu Hao said with a gentle smile. Got it. I'll wipe the floor spotlessly clean. Yang Xiaoxiu clutched her shoes and tread cautiously toward the bathroom. When she walked past Lu Hao, she added anxiously, I'll be really quick with my shower. I'll only use cold water so I don't waste too much of your water supply. There's plenty of water on board. Feel free to use hot water instead. Shampoo, body wash, and towels are all stocked inside the bathroom. Just toss your dirty clothes into the washing machine once you're done showering, Lu Hao told her. Yang Xiaosu's eyes widened in surprise. Truly? I can really use hot water. Of course. Head on in. Rest assured, I won't peek, Lu Hao replied earnestly. Her cheeks flushed pink. She muttered a quick word of thanks and hastened into the bathroom with tiny, hurried steps. The shower area spanned over 1 square meter, fully furnished with complete bathing supplies. Taking a deep breath to calm her surging excitement, Yang Xiaosu stripped off her grimy clothes and twisted the water valve open. Warm water sprayed down from the shower head and washed over her body, making her relax completely with a soft shudder. Tears nearly welled up in her eyes. I feel alive again. Outside the armored RV, many survivors had witnessed Yang Xiaosu climbing into Lu Hao's armored vehicle. That woman just boarded that guy Lu's RV. I can't help feeling jealous thinking about how comfortable he must be in there right now. He got that maid outfit from the lucky draw. She must be wearing it inside the vehicle. We're struggling to survive in this apocalypse, yet this guy is living like he's on a luxury vacation. Boss Biao, I've changed my mind. There's no point trying to win him over. We'll kill him once we drive out of this service area, but we're keeping that woman alive. Li Chong gritted his teeth viciously. Wang Biao took a drag from his cigarette and let out a coarse laugh. That's the way to think. If we can't recruit him, we eliminate him. No need for complicated plans. Once we leave the service station, you blast his vehicle with the RPG first, then I'll ram him with my heavy truck. We'll wreck his ride completely. After that, the girl can stay with us. Wang Biao guffawed loudly. Understood. I'll follow your lead, Boss Biao. A cruel grin spread across Li Chong's face. Inside the armored RV, a dozen minutes later, the bathroom door creaked open. Lu Hao turned his head and saw a figure clad in a standard-made uniform walking out amid curling steam. Yang Xiaosu had taken off her face covering, letting Lu Hao see her true features for the first time. She already had beautiful eyes, paired with a delicate nose, soft cherry lips, and a round face dotted with faint baby fat. Her figure was well-proportioned, with a slender waist and long, straight legs. The maid uniform fit her neatly and accentuated her graceful physique perfectly. Lu Hao finally understood why she had kept her face hidden all this time. With laws and social order collapsed in the wasteland, women, especially attractive young women, faced threats not only from harsh weather and mutated monsters, but also from unrestrained, malicious men who discarded all moral boundaries. Sensing Lu Hao's gaze fixed on her, Yang Xiaosu was overcome with sudden unease. I've been far too reckless. I'm trapped inside his vehicle with no means to defend myself if he harbors malicious intentions. Her whole body tensed up, her heart pounding with nervousness. Lu Hao broke the silence. Put your dirty laundry into the washing machine. It will finish washing and drying automatically shortly. Yang Xiaosu lifted her head and met his stare. Though he was looking straight at her, his eyes were calm and clear, easing her inner tension slightly. I'm sorry for taking so long in the shower and consuming so much water. Let me deduct 10 highway coins from my payment to make up for it. She apologized awkwardly. No need to adjust the price. Stick to our original deal, Lu Hao smiled. He had already installed an infinite water tank module, so he no longer needed to ration water carefully. He did not mind the water she had used at all. Thank you anyway. Yang Xiaosu placed her soiled garments into the washer. She then noticed soup boiling over on the induction cooker and rushed over to turn down the heat immediately. What are you cooking? It smells incredible. She swallowed hard, refraining from prying further. Remembering the muddy footprints she had left on the floor earlier, she quickly grabbed cleaning tools to wipe the floor clean. Watching her tidy up the space while dressed in the maid uniform, Lu Hao mused quietly that having someone like her around to help with chores was actually quite pleasant. Here you go. Yang Xiaosu walked up to Lu Hao and handed him a vial of primary gene serum. Lu Hao pulled himself out of his wandering thoughts and looked at her with a faint smirk. You trust me this easily? Yang Xiaosu pressed her lips together and answered sincerely. You never lied to me last time, so I choose to trust you now. I wouldn't dare place my faith in anyone else out here. Lu Hao let out a helpless chuckle. He took the serum and transferred 400 highway coins to her per their agreement. I still owe you another 100 coins. I'll pay you back as soon as I can. MHM. She nodded softly. Lu Hao decided to give her a word of caution. Drinking this primary gene serum won't cause mutation. It boosts physical fitness and strengthens your combat capability. I've used one myself before. Our trade is finalized, so you cannot return the serum to me later. I appreciate you telling me this detail. Yang Xiaosu responded gratefully instead of showing any displeasure. Lu Hao sighed inwardly at how pure and kind the young woman was. Could I stay here for a while until my clothes finish drying? I don't want to walk outside wearing this uniform. Yang Xiaosu asked timidly with a quiet addition to her request. Lu Hao agreed after a moment's consideration. If she stepped outdoors dressed like this, the hostile men lingering nearby would undoubtedly swarm her without hesitation. Feel free to wait here. Could you carry that pot over to the dining table for me? Be careful, it's hot. Lu Hao gestured toward the kitchen counter. Okay. Yang Xiaosu moved the pot to the table. When she lifted the lid, her eyes went wide with shock. Braised pork ribs? She could barely process what she was seeing. This was the brutal wasteland highway. There was no reason for anyone to have a pot of fresh, fragrant braised ribs, let alone such a large portion. Lu Hao fetched a pair of chopsticks and bowls before sitting down at the table. I got these ribs from a system draw. The meat is fresh and all seasonings are included. Have a seat and eat some with me. You're unbelievably lucky. Yang Xiaosu exclaimed in admiration before waving her hands repeatedly to decline. I can't accept this. It's far too valuable. I'm not even hungry. Her stomach rumbled loudly right after her statement. Her face burned bright red all the way to her earlobes in embarrassment. Lu Hao held back his laughter. Sit down and eat. It's all right. My temporary helper is welcome to share meals with me. I'm not your helper. Yang Xiaosu mumbled in protest as she sat down reluctantly. But the moment the tender, savory ribs touched her tongue, she found herself thinking that warm showers, hot meals, and a safe living space were such precious luxuries in the wasteland. Working as an assistant in this vehicle did not sound half bad. Snap out of it, Yang Xiaosu. You swore you'd survive relying solely on your own strength. She chided herself mentally. Her appetite betrayed her inner resolve. However, she ate piece after piece of ribs like a hungry kitten. This is absolutely delicious. Eat slowly. There's steamed rice to go with it, Lu Hao said warmly. There's rice too. Yang Xiaosu stared in disbelief. Braised ribs paired with steamed rice was a perfect meal she had not tasted in ages, and she was barely holding back tears of relief and longing. 80 kilometers away, barren desert wasteland. A crimson high-performance vehicle fitted with an artillery turret raced across the desert at breakneck speed. Its frame was bulkier and taller than a Bugatti, with an aggressive, rugged exterior design. Slow down, Longu. I can barely hold on. Wanli gripped the handrail tightly in the passenger seat, her voice laced with panic. Huang Feilong steered with his left hand and rested his right casually on her thigh, grinning arrogantly. This trivial speed is nothing to me. I'm determined to be the fastest driver across the entire wasteland server. No one can outpace me. He slammed harder on the gas pedal, and the vehicle let out a ferocious roar as its speed surged once more. Wanli screamed in fright. I know you're the fastest, but our teammates have long fallen far behind us. Useless bunch of losers. Huang Feilong scowled and eased on the accelerator slightly. I ordered them to track down skeleton monster dens, yet they only found 2 low-level creatures and even lost 2 men in the process. Total incompetence. He opened the Wasteland Highway System interface and frowned. No one has messaged me after waiting for ages. Could it be my charm isn't enough? Hardly anyone has obtained Tier 3 flame crystals yet, so don't be impatient. Your charisma stands unmatched across the server, Wanli comforted him. I like hearing that. Huang Feilong smiled in satisfaction. He checked the trade platform afterward. Someone's posting a purchase request for primary gene serum. Message this buyer and ask if they own Tier 3 flame crystals. Tell them I'll trade however many serums they need for those crystals. Right away, Longu. Wanli opened the trade page and froze upon seeing the buyer's username. It's Lu Hao. Lu Hao? Do you know him? Huang Feilong raised an eyebrow. Wanli's tone turned resentful instantly. He's the man who threw me out of his van once. He tried to court me relentlessly before abandoning me without mercy the moment I needed assistance. So it's that guy with the beat-up old van who somehow stayed alive all this time. Huang Feilong sneered dismissively. Please teach him a harsh lesson for me if we cross paths, Longu. I still suffered injuries from that incident, and I would have never survived out here without you taking me in, Wanli said with a sorrowful tone. Still sore from the fall? Let me soothe it for you. Huang Feilong reached toward her. Not while you're driving. Wanli acted shyly. Huang Feilong laughed loudly and spoke dismissively. A man driving a shabby van is nothing but a trivial ant I can crush effortlessly. He came up with a plan shortly afterward. This guy definitely doesn't have Tier 3 flame crystals. Send him a private message offering to trade primary gene serum in person. You can watch how I defeat him face to face. That sounds wonderful. Thank you so much, Longu. Wanli was overjoyed, ready to send the message before pausing suddenly. He'll grow suspicious if I message him directly. Maybe send Zhong to contact him instead. What a hassle. Huang Feilong clicked his tongue in annoyance. At that moment, a transmission came through the vehicle's communication system. Boss Long, We discovered a sunken pit that looks to be an old subway entrance. It must be filled with skeleton monsters. I've sent you the coordinates, the subordinate shouted excitedly over the comms. Huang Feilong's face lit up with excitement. Excellent work, Zhong. Hold your position and don't act recklessly. I'm heading over immediately. Back to Lu Hao's armored RV. The sandstorm is approaching fast. Lu Hao opened his eyes, lifted the vehicle curtain and rolled down the window to hear the howling wind growing louder by the second. Day had broken, the sun blazing fiercely overhead, sending scorching gusts of wind through the wilderness. Yang Xiaosu stirred awake on the sofa, her voice thick with drowsiness. Is breakfast ready? Lu Hao shook his head in amusement. You're still craving food? You ate 3 bowls of rice and half a kilo of ribs last night. Yang Xiaosu fully woke up, her cheeks flushing with embarrassment. I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to fall asleep here uninvited. I must have drifted off without realizing it. No harm done. Lu Hao gestured toward the washing machine. Retrieve your clothes and change quickly. The sandstorm is incoming. We need to depart right away. I thought service stations were designated safe zones. Yang Xiaosu asked in confusion. Armored vehicles count as mobile safe zones. Feel free to test driving an ordinary car straight into the sandstorm if you'd like to find out the difference. Lu Hao sealed the window shut. Sandstorms slow down overnight, but pick back up at daylight to drive survivors onward. We need to leave now. Understood. Yang Xiaosu asked no further questions. She fetched her cleaned clothes from the washer and headed into the bathroom to change back into her original outfit, readying her face covering afterward. Thank you for the meal, the hot shower, and the safe place to rest last night. She hopped out of the RV and climbed into her own off-road vehicle. A sharp sense of melancholy washed over her after experiencing the comforts of Lu Hao's armored home. Constant warm temperatures, complete living amenities, hot water and hearty meals paired with a comfortable sleeping space. Her Tier 2 off-road vehicle was far superior to her old beach buggy, yet she could not bear to run the air conditioning. The seats were cramped, turning stiflingly hot during daytime and freezing cold at night. He refuses to team up with anyone and has turned down countless survivors. I can't bring myself to ask him to let me tag along permanently. Yang Xiaosu sighed quietly to herself. She snapped out of her melancholy the second Lu Hao's armored RV started moving, igniting her own engine to follow closely behind. Boss Biao, they're leaving the station. Follow them. Wang Biao ordered coldly. The sandstorm was rapidly catching up to the convoy. Many survivors shared Lu Hao's judgment that service stations were not permanent safe havens. The sandstorm functioned to herd survivors forward along the highway, making long-term stays impossible. They scrambled to pack their belongings and drive away without delay. The remaining crowd fled the service area one after another in a hurry. Moments later, the massive sandstorm swept over the entire station, burying it beneath endless sand and dust. Lu Hao glanced at the electronic map displayed on his vehicle screen, drawing his attention to a red-marked location 80 kilometers to his 3 o'clock direction, set apart from the main highway. Abandoned subway entrance. It is almost certainly swarming with mutated creatures. He was debating whether to investigate the site when his vehicle's communication device received an incoming call request. He had shared his communication frequency with Yang Xiaosu earlier. He pressed the answer button. What's wrong? Wang Biao's entire convoy is tailing us. Lu Hao checked his rearview mirror and spotted Wang Biao's heavy truck accompanied by more than a dozen assorted vehicles trailing not far behind. Planning to strike now? Lu Hao let out a cold chuckle and responded through the comms. I'm aware of their pursuit. Stay vigilant and watch out for ambushes on your end. Please be careful as well. Nervousness lingered in Yang Xiaosu's voice. Lu Hao steered his armored RV off the paved highway into the open wilderness, with Yang Xiaosu's off-road vehicle closely on his heels. The hostile convoy left the highway to chase after them instantly. They're only targeting me. You don't need to follow along, or you'll get caught in the crossfire. Lu Hao warned her over the communication channel. There was a brief pause before her reply came through. I'm going to help you. Lu Hao was about to decline her assistance when he caught sight of a man climbing out from the roof of a black van in the rearview mirror, hoisting an RPG launcher onto his shoulder. The rocket-propelled grenade was well within effective firing range, merely 200 meters away. Dodge immediately, Lu Hao shouted. Yang Xiaosu sharply twisted her steering wheel to swerve her vehicle aside the very second the warning left his mouth. Excellent driving skills. Lu Hao praised her fluid evasive maneuver. He reacted just as swiftly, activating his vehicle's ground-hugging anti-gravity module. The dozen-ton armored RV drifted horizontally several meters sideways in an almost physically impossible motion. The rocket streaked forward with a thick smoke trail and slammed into the ground, erupting in a violent explosion that sent rocks and sand flying in every direction. Inside the heavy truck, Wang Biao cursed loudly. Li Chong, how do you miss such an easy shot? It's not my fault, Boss Biao. They reacted way too fast, especially that man. His vehicle's evasive moves defy all logic. Li Chong's frustrated voice crackled over the convoy comms. Forget logic in this wasteland. Stop complaining and fire again. Wang Biao roared. Let Ergo take over the launcher. He's more accurate and can calculate lead trajectories. Ergo, took you long enough to call me. Watch how I hit my mark. Watch out for the woman. Get down, Ergo. Shit. A string of panicked shouts echoed from Wang Biao's truck. He watched helplessly as Yang Xiaosu climbed onto the roof of her off-road vehicle, knocking an arrow, drawing the bowstring, and releasing the projectile in one seamless, fluid motion. The arrow shot forth like a falling meteor. Before Wang Biao could process what had happened, the arrow embedded itself squarely in Ergo's forehead. The man collapsed instantly onto the ground and was crushed by the wheels of the following hostile vehicles, blood spilling across the sand. Damn it, her archery precision is terrifying. Li Chong. A sharp crack cut Wang Biao's sentence short. Another arrow flew straight into the truck's front windshield, piercing through the glass with its sharp tip, the arrow shaft trembling faintly with a cold, menacing glint on the arrowhead. Wang Biao nearly lost control of his steering wheel, a cold dread shooting straight to his temples. The arrow would have killed him instantly if the windshield had not blocked its path. Boss Biao, are you alright? Ergo is dead. That woman's archery skill is monstrously powerful. Li Chong shouted in alarm over the comms. Wang Biao steadied his vehicle and took a deep breath to calm his racing heart. I'm unharmed. Order the whole convoy to unleash suppressive fire. Aim for their tires and fuel tanks. Suppressive fire. Target tires and fuel tanks. Li Chong relayed the order to every vehicle on the shared communication frequency. A hail of gunfire erupted the next instant, countless bullets pelting toward Lu Hao's armored RV and Yang Xiaosu's off-road vehicle. Yang Xiaosu ducked back into her vehicle for cover at once. That was brilliant shooting, well done. A hint of bashfulness colored Yang Xiaosu's tone upon hearing Lu Hao's compliment. I was a competitive archer before the apocalypse, and I've awakened an extraordinary affinity ability related to archery. So that's how it is. Lu Hao flinched at the dense gunfire erupting behind him and barked an order. Circle around to the enemy's flank. Keep your distance so they don't hit your tires or fuel tank, and pick off those grunts when you get the chance. What about you? Yang Xiaosu asked. Lu Hao grinned. Me? I'm going after the tough nuts. Yang Xiaosu froze for a split second, then watched the armored recreational vehicle spin in place without the slightest lag. A zero-delay stationary U-turn? Without pausing for even a heartbeat, the vehicle roared straight toward the enemy convoy charging up from the rear. Yang Xiaosu's eyes went wide with disbelief at his insane driving skills. Your driving is absolutely monstrous. Hurry up and move out. Right? On it. Yang Xiaosu gunned her off-road vehicle, swerving wide to flee the enemy's firing zone. That guy just spun around and charged us. A full stationary turn. That's ridiculous. Li Chong exclaimed in shock. He's begging to die. Wang Biao cracked a malicious smile and slammed hard on the gas pedal. My Optimus Prime has nothing to fear from him. His Class 2 heavy truck boasted massive weight, unshakable in any head-on collision. Voices crackled over the vehicle intercom from his teammates. Damn it, his armor is way too thick. Bullets can't pierce it at all. Aim for the tires. The tires are bulletproof too, goddammit. Use the RPG Chong. Firing now. Boom. A rocket warhead detonated squarely against the front of the armored RV. Fire another. The RPG packs 60 attack power. This has to finish him off. Boom. A second rocket slammed into the vehicle's hull this time. Li Chong loaded his final rocket round and squeezed the trigger again. The vehicle swallowed by thick smoke, so he could not confirm a direct hit. Still, he spoke with total confidence. Even if he survives that blast, he'll be crippled beyond repair. Biao Gu, the rest is yours to handle. Nicely done, A Chong. Watch my Optimus Prime smash him to scrap metal. Wang Biao pushed his Class 2 heavy truck to maximum speed. Just as every man present was convinced the explosions had crippled Lu Hao's vehicle, a low, thunderous engine growl cut through the air. The vehicle's nose broke through the cloud of smoke, followed by the full body of the armored RV. What stunned everyone most was how intact the vehicle remained after 2 RPG strikes. Only minor paint chipping and shallow dents marred its surface. Smoke for show but zero actual damage. What kind of impenetrable defense is this? Is this really just a Class 2 vehicle? Its defensive stats are absurd. Look at the machine gun mounted on its roof. Take cover. Rat-a-tat-tat. Before they could react, concentrated machine gun fire blanketed the entire enemy convoy. In under 2 seconds, 3 vehicles had their windshields blown open, their drivers killed instantly by shrapnel and bullets. At that moment, the armored RV was less than 50 meters away from Wang Biao's heavy truck. Screams echoed over the radio, twisting Wang Biao's features into a frenzied snarl as he roared at the top of his lungs. If rockets won't kill you, then my truck will crush you to paste. Come on. Dust swirled across the barren wilderness. Wang Biao's Class 2 heavy truck tore forward at top speed. The armored RV closed in even faster from dozens of meters away. His teammates stared in stunned silence at the mismatched pair of vehicles barreling toward each other. He's flooring the accelerator completely, charging head-on against Optimus Prime. He's signing his own death warrant. He's as good as dead. Crush him flat, Biao Ge. The gap between the two vehicles shrank to a mere 3 meters in the blink of an eye. Every man watched with absolute certainty that the armored RV would crumple like paper under the heavy truck's weight and get sent flying. Even Yang Xiaosu, watching from a distance, cried out in alarm. Don't do it. But the impossible unfolded right before their eyes. The instant the two vehicles were about to collide, the armored RV lurched upward with explosive force, lifting 5 meters off the ground in a sudden vertical launch. It then landed squarely on top of the heavy truck's cab roof. Every witness was left dumbfounded. Holy hell, it's flying. I swear I just saw a flying RV. Is this some scene ripped straight out of Fast Furious? It landed right on Biao Ge's truck roof. Are you kidding me? Inside the heavy truck, Wang Biao stared ahead in total disbelief. He would never have believed a road vehicle could leap 5 meters straight up if he had not seen it with his own 2 eyes. This thing could barely be called a car anymore. It defied all logic. The truck chassis suddenly lurched downward, its velocity dropping sharply as if dozens of tons of extra weight had crashed onto its roof. A panicked shout blared over the radio. Biao Ge, he's standing on your roof. What the hell? Wang Biao's mind went blank from sheer shock. Not only had the vehicle jumped skyward, it had parked itself atop his truck. Was this car built like a frog? He's climbing out of the vehicle. Li Chang's panicked voice cut through the static. What? Wang Biao jerked his head upward toward the roof. Heavy footsteps thudded above his head. Seconds later, sunlight vanished as a figure blocked the windshield entirely. Lu Hao stood atop the truck's engine hood, his expression calm, yet sharp with icy menace. He stared coldly down at Wang Biao and plucked an arrow embedded in the windshield free with one hand. Why you? What are you doing? Wang Biao scrambled frantically for his firearm. He grabbed the pistol and raised it to fire without hesitation. Before he could pull the trigger, Lu Hao balled his fist and drove it hard into the cracked puncture left by the arrow. Crash! The windshield shattered into thousands of sharp fragments. Wang Biao squeezed his eyes shut instinctively. The next second, a powerful hand clamped tight around his neck, dragging his upper body violently out of the driver's seat. Choking agony washed over him instantly, robbing him of his voice to beg for mercy. When he forced his eyes open, his feet dangled uselessly above the ground, lifted clean off the floor by Lu Hao's single-handed chokehold. Wang Biao screamed internally in terror and activated his supernatural ability, Stone Skin. His skin hardened instantly, taking on the dull gray texture of solid rock, stopping Lu Hao's fingers from sinking any deeper into his throat. Is this your supernatural sequence power? Lu Hao let out a cold laugh and hoisted Wang Biao high above his head. I wonder if your stony flesh can survive being run over by your own heavy truck. Cold dread flooded Wang Biao's mind. No. Wang Biao's teammates stood frozen with terror across the sun-baked, sandy wilderness. Beneath the blazing sun, the heavy truck rolled forward slowly while Lu Hao stood unshaken on the engine hood, holding their 200-pound leader suspended in midair with one hand. He tossed Wang Biao aside casually without a shred of effort. Wang Biao's body traced a shallow parabolic arc before slamming heavily onto the pavement directly in the truck's path. Crunch! The massive truck tires rolled directly over his body, splattering blood across the dry earth. The sheer brutality of the scene crushed the will to fight out of every surviving enemy combatant. That man, he's not human. Despair rippled through the remaining crew. Lu Hao's voice drifted across the open ground. Kill them all. Leave no survivors. Cold dread settled heavy in every enemy soldier's chest. Stop standing around and shoot. Li Chang, the only one still coherent, roared frantically. A handful of men snapped out of their stupor and grabbed their handguns. An arrow whistled through the air and buried itself deep in one man's eye socket. More arrows followed in quick succession, each shot finding its mark with pinpoint precision. The rest were paralyzed by overwhelming fear, too terrified to even peek out from cover to retaliate. He's a crack-shot archer. Run for your lives. Li Chang's nerves frayed to the breaking point. He wrenched the steering wheel hard and fled at full speed in his sedan. Lu Hao tossed a quick order toward Yang Xiaosu. Take him down. I'll handle the rest here. Understood. Yang Xiaosu loosed one final arrow, stowed her bow, and gave chase in her off-road vehicle. By now, Wang Biao's unmanned heavy truck had sputtered to a full stop. Lu Hao climbed back into his armored RV. The anti-gravity suspension module works wonders. This vehicle's basically got Spider-Man levels of mobility now. My overall physical stats hit 30 after all that combat. If I'm this powerful at 30 points, how strong will I become once I unlock my genetic lock? Lu Hao clenched his fist, feeling surging, boundless power coursing through his veins. He glanced toward the scattered enemy vehicles fleeing in every direction, and manned the roof-mounted machine gun to pick off targets with controlled bursts of fire. Taking down these ordinary humans was far simpler than hunting skeletal monsters. He conserved ammunition effortlessly, each bullet blowing out a vehicle tire with surgical accuracy. Disabled vehicles left their occupants trapped like lambs waiting for slaughter. None even had time to activate their supernatural abilities before Lu Hao eliminated them one by one. This marked the first time Lu Hao had taken human life. He felt neither revulsion nor savage excitement. Only a single unwavering resolve burning in his chest. Survive, and grow stronger with every passing day. These people had come to kill him, so he would strike back without mercy. Every member of Wang Biao's squad was dead, save for the single fleeing survivor Li Chang. A dozen wrecked vehicles littered the barren terrain: motorcycles, three-wheeled utility carts, sedans, off-road vehicles, alongside the wrecked Class 2 heavy truck. It was a massive haul of salvageable materials. This collection of vehicles would be more than enough to fully upgrade his vehicle's armaments and defenses. Lu Hao hopped out of the RV and touched each abandoned vehicle one after another. Detecting combinable vehicles: Class 2 heavy truck, 25 tons gross weight, defense rating 55, windshield damaged. Civilian motorcycles, three-wheeled carts, passenger sedans. Total synthesis of collected vehicles insufficient for an upgrade to Class 3 vehicle. Vehicle has reached Class 2 tier. Storage option unlocked. Vehicles may be converted into reserve upgrade modules for stockpiling. Confirm storage of all vehicle assets. As expected, upgrading to Class 3 won't be easy. I'll most likely need a second Class 2 vehicle to meet the requirement. Store all of them for later use. Lu Hao could have used a Tier 3 spark crystal for an immediate upgrade, but permanent enhancements forged through his infinite synthesis system yielded superior performance boosts. My current combat strength is more than sufficient for the time being. The fleet of abandoned vehicles, including the heavy truck, vanished entirely, condensed into a single black cube that materialized inside Lu Hao's backpack inventory. Only corpses and discarded firearms remained strewn across the cracked wilderness soil. Yang Xiaosu pulled up in her off-road vehicle and jumped down from the driver's seat. Did you finish off the fugitive? Lu Hao asked. Yang Xiaosu nodded. He had a flame-based supernatural power, but I put an arrow through his throat the second he unleashed his fire attack. Lu Hao noticed her trembling hands and pale expression. First time killing someone? Yang Xiaosu bit her lower lip and gave a quiet nod. Yeah, I'm also a first-timer. Lu Hao offered a faint, reassuring smile. In this world, you either kill or get killed. You'll grow used to it with time. Yang Xiaosu took several deep breaths, forcing down her nausea at the sight of the corpses scattered around them, and voiced her confusion. Only bodies are left here. Where did all their vehicles go? Better not ask about it. Got it. I brought you these supplies. Yang Xiaosu pulled 3 items out from her bag: an RPG rocket launcher with no remaining warheads, an AK-47 assault rifle, and a vial of primary genetic agent. I looted the genetic agent off the fleeing man's corpse. Players actually drop loot upon death? Lu Hao's eyes lit up at the revelation. The thought brought him little joy, however. Loot drops from player kills meant hostile player-on-player combat would only grow more frequent as time passed, with banditry and murder for resources becoming commonplace. I have to get stronger, no matter what. Lu Hao's gaze fixed on the vial of genetic agent before turning back to the girl. You held your own well in the fight. This is your fair share of the spoils. Yang Xiaosu shook her head firmly. I don't want it. You should take everything. This vial is worth no less than 500 road coins. Are you truly willing to give it up? Lu Hao pressed. Yang Xiaosu thought for 2 full seconds before replying earnestly. I am. Lu Hao chuckled softly. I appreciate the gesture, but you're taking it. I do need a favor from you, though. All right, I'll take the gear. What do you need me to do? Lu Hao gestured toward the scattered corpses across the ground. Loot the remains for usable supplies. Yang Xiaosu's shoulders drooped with visible discomfort, but complied obediently. She quickly acclimated to the grim task, growing visibly cheered as she gathered materials. Returning to Lu Hao with her arms piled high with scavenged goods like someone presenting a treasure haul. 14 firearms total, 32 road coins. Plus various packaged food, drinking water, a pack of flexible waterproof sealing pouches. Wait a minute. She flushed bright red in embarrassment upon seeing the pouches and tossed them hastily onto the dirt. Why would anyone carry these kinds of items? That's so weird. To mask her awkwardness, she quickly added another find. I also picked up a pack of sliced beef hot pot ingredients. We could cook hot pot for a meal. Lu Hao knelt down, picked up the waterproof sealing pouches, and slipped them into his pocket without hesitation. Yang Xiaosu stepped backward with wide, stunned eyes. Relax, it's not what you're thinking. Lu Hao cleared his throat and explained calmly. These pouches have plenty of practical emergency applications out here in the wild. Like what? Yang Xiaosu sounded skeptical. Lu Hao listed their uses with a dead serious tone. They work as makeshift compression bandages to stem bleeding, temporary waterproof casings for delicate electronic devices, elastic cord for crafting slingshots, or sealed containers to carry fresh drinking water, among other survival uses. They're incredibly handy emergency supplies. Realization washed over Yang Xiaosu, her embarrassment fading away. I see now. You know so much about wilderness survival tricks. You'll pick up these skills too with a little experience. Lu Hao smiled gently. Yang Xiaosu nodded earnestly, hanging on his every word. She hesitated briefly before voicing her question. Does this make us official teammates now? Lu Hao looked at her with a warm grin. We fought side by side through a deadly battle together. Of course we're teammates. Yang Xiaosu's eyes crinkled into bright crescent moons. Got it, boss. Lu Hao let out an amused huff of laughter. You're picking up titles fast. Do you dislike it? I can switch to captain, brother, or something else instead. Just call me Lu Hao normally. Understood, boss. Lu Hao could only sigh in resignation at her stubborn reply. They settled on the official title of captain, even if their small team only had 2 members for the time being. The pair hauled all collected loot into the armored RV. Lu Hao handed Yang Xiaosu a bottle of drink before tallying up their gains. And noticing a distinct pattern. It seems every fallen player only drops a single item upon death. That matches what I observed as well, Yang Xiaosu confirmed. Lu Hao nodded in understanding. It works just like loot mechanics in online games. Killing another player grants 1 random drop. The cruel difference is there's no respawn system here. Death is permanent with no second chances. Yang Xiaosu pulled down her face mask, her mood sinking heavily at his words. I don't want to die. I need to get back home. My mother is unwell and relies on me to look after her. She'll panic and search everywhere once she realizes I've gone missing. Tears welled up in her eyes and spilled down her cheeks as she spoke. Lu Hao sighed and passed her a pack of facial tissues. We will both make it back alive, I promise you that. Store all food in the onboard refrigerator and firearms in the vehicle lockers. Let's boil up that hot pot to calm our nerves. Hot pot sounds perfect. Yang Xiaosu wiped her tears away immediately, her mood lifting at the prospect of a warm meal. At that moment, a private message notification popped up on Lu Hao's wrist device. I've got 2 vials of primary genetic agent for sale. Send over your coordinates if you're interested. We can complete the trade face-to-face. Chenzhong. Lu Hao's curiosity spiked. Such a rare resource being sold in bulk was highly suspicious. Only 2 scenarios were possible. Either Chenzhong had absurdly high luck and power to render the genetic agents obsolete for his own use, or this message was a carefully laid ambush trap. Lu Hao typed out a reply. What goods are you looking to trade in exchange? A response arrived almost instantly. I want a Tier 3 spark crystal. Do you have one in your possession? Lu Hao let out a dry laugh. 2 low-tier genetic agents for a Tier 3 spark crystal? Your asking price is wildly inflated. Wait, you actually have a Tier 3 spark crystal. I don't possess one. Then why waste my time messaging me? Name other acceptable trade items. I'll take vehicle power modules, defense modules, Tier 2 spark crystals, or a flat payment of 2,000 road coins if you have none of the above. I have none of those items either. You bastard. Are you messing with me? Why even respond if you've got nothing valuable to trade? Are you out of your mind? Outside an abandoned subway tunnel stood 12 parked vehicles, with a sleek red hypercar resembling a Bugatti drawing the most attention. Chenzhong leaned against the sports car's frame, cursing angrily into his comms. Longo, this guy is completely broke with 0 tradable materials. I don't even know how to process this interaction. Huang Feilong smoked a cigarette and sipped from a beer bottle, utterly unfazed by the update. Food and clean water would suffice for bait. We never intended to make a legitimate trade anyway, only to lure him here. Can't even handle such a simple task? Send him the coordinates right now. Understood, Long Go. Chun Zhong grumbled inwardly, but followed the order without protest. Moments later, he reported back. Coordinates have been sent to his device. Huang Feilong nodded grimly. Seize him the second he arrives. I'll deal with him personally myself. A woman named Wan Li purred from beside the hypercar. Great work handling this, Zhong Go. It's nothing at all, sister-in-law. Just a minor favor. Chen Zhong smiled politely in reply. That matter is trivial. Our real priority is what's inside this pit ahead. Huang Feilong pointed toward a large crater in the ground. Send another man down to scout its interior, a Zhong. Chen Zhong wore a helpless expression. Long Go. We already lost one man who went down earlier. No one else is willing to venture inside anymore. Useless lot. Huang Feilong climbed into his vehicle and circled the crater a full loop before reaching a final decision. Everyone pull back to a safe distance. I'll blast the opening with our heavy ordnance to test what's hiding down there. Boom. Lu Hao frowned sharply upon hearing the distant detonation, the blast carrying far greater destructive force than a standard RPG warhead. His navigation showed he was only a short distance away from the provided coordinates. He activated his vehicle communication channel to speak with Yang Xiaosu. Xiaosu, what is the maximum effective range of your bow? Inside her off-road vehicle, Yang Xiaosu was still savoring the hot pot meal she had prepared. She answered promptly upon hearing Lu Hao's voice. Maximum effective shot distance is 500 meters, but wind-blown sand and harsh sunlight throw off my accuracy at that range. I can land perfect shots if those environmental factors aren't working against me. You can see targets clearly at that distance? Lu Hao asked in genuine surprise. Sniper rifles require telescopic sights for long-distance precision shots, yet she relied solely on her natural eyesight with a bow. Yang Xiaosu smiled faintly. My eyesight was drastically enhanced after I awakened my supernatural sequence ability. I can spot two individuals over there, riding a motorcycle and a three-wheeled cart respectively. She could make out such fine details from over a kilometer away. Lu Hao eased his vehicle to a slow crawl. Park your vehicle here first, then find concealed cover 400 meters out. Loose arrows only when I signal you. What counts as the signal? Just a raised hand gesture from me. Got it, Captain. Yang Xiaosu parked her off-road vehicle, grabbed her bow and arrows, then sprinted forward low to the ground to take up her overwatch position. Her overall physical attributes had doubled after consuming a vial of primary gene serum, letting her run faster than a startled hare. Some distance away. Zhong, a vehicle's coming. I'm nearsighted, Hausi. Can you tell what kind it is? It's black and massive, looks almost like an armored vehicle. Chen Zhong frowned and shook his head. That can't be it. Boss Long said the kid drives a beat-up van. Wait a second. This is an RV fully plated with alloy armor, and there's a machine gun mounted on the roof. Damn, this ride is insane. Hausi blurted out in shock. Chen Zhong caught sight of the vehicle as it drew near, his eyes widening. This is definitely a Tier 2 powerhouse. He's just passing through for sure. We must not provoke him. Not even Boss Long could save us if we do. I'd like to keep breathing for a while longer. Hausi had already scrambled onto his three-wheeler, ready to flee at a moment's notice. Fear crept over Chen Zhong as well. Just passing by, please don't notice us, don't head this way. Against their worst fears, the armored RV never deviated from its course and rolled straight toward them before grinding to a halt right in front of the two men. The car window rolled down, revealing a young, cold-faced man. He must be stopping to ask for directions. I hope he's reasonable. Chen Zhong's hands shook as he pulled out a pack of cigarettes and forced himself to walk over. Greetings, sir. I'm Chen Zhong from the Flying Dragon Gang. A pleasure to meet you. He held out a cigarette, trying to lean on his gang's reputation for leverage. Lu Hao ignored the cigarette and sized him up. Flying Dragon Gang? One of Huang Mao's men. Huang Mao. Chen Zhong and Hausi exchanged a confused glance. Only someone with overwhelming strength would dare address their gang leader so casually, without an ounce of fear. Yes, our leader is Huang Feilong. May we know your name, sir? Chen Zhong lowered his posture even further. Lu Hao. We spoke over private comms. Hand over the primary gene serum. Wait, you're Lu Hao? Shock washed over both Chen Zhong and Hausi. Hausi stammered in disbelief. But you were supposed to drive a broken-down van. How come you've got this? Shut your mouth, Hausi. Chen Zhong snapped, then turned back to Lu Hao with a nervous smile. Pay him no mind. He's just rambling nonsense. Chen Zhong broke out in cold sweat, recalling how he'd mocked Lu Hao and called him foolish during their earlier chat. I'm truly sorry for my rude remarks before, sir. Please don't hold it against us. Lu Hao stared at them with a half smirk. Let's finish the trade. I'm in a hurry. Chen Zhong froze up instantly. Trade. They had never intended to complete a trade. Their real mission was to capture Lu Hao. But staring at this mobile fortress of an RV fitted with a machine gun turret, he instantly discarded that dangerous thought. Even Huang Feilong himself would walk away empty-handed if he faced this vehicle. We're trapped now, goddammit. I'm going to curse that woman Wanli to hell. Lu Hao spoke up again, planning to back out. The black muzzle of the roof machine gun locked onto the two men, and every hair on their bodies stood on end. No way we'd back out. Calm your anger, mighty sir. Chen Zhong had no choice but to go through with the exchange. As someone who managed part of the gang's supplies, he still possessed one unclaimed primary gene serum set aside by Huang Feilong as a reward for meritorious service. Right now, handing it over was the only way to stay alive. He could only pray Lu Hao wouldn't simply kill them and seize the serum anyway. Fortunately, the young man abided by his word. Lu Hao inspected the serum closely. This is genuine. He slid open the side compartment of the RV. All the food and fresh water you requested are inside. Help yourselves carry them over. Chen Zhong's eyes stung with helplessness, staring at piles of bread, instant noodles, and bottled water stacked within the compartment. Even 10 times this amount of supplies was nowhere near a fair trade for a primary gene serum. Lu Hao added casually. I thought you planned to swindle me at first, so I feel a little guilty taking the serum for these goods. I'll toss in a crate of 6 hand grenades as extra compensation. Chen Zhong forced a stiff smile. We're endlessly grateful. You're truly a kind soul. Haozi, load all of this onto your 3-wheeler. On it, Haozi heaved a crate of mineral water onto his vehicle's cargo bed and whispered, Zhong, if we head back with serum swapped for basic rations, Boss Long will execute us for sure. Chen Zhong shot him a sharp glare. If we refuse the trade right now, we'll be dead before we take another breath. Haozi shrank back and continued hauling supplies. Zhong, the inside of this RV is freezing cold, and the air smells clean. The living area inside is massive. There's a king bed, sofas, a full refrigerator, kitchen, and bathroom. It's pure luxury. When will we ever get to live somewhere this comfortable? I'm so jealous. Maybe we should switch leaders. Boss Long is always arrogant and short-tempered for no reason. I'd much rather pledge loyalty to this man instead. Quiet before a bullet puts you down for good. Chen Zhong scolded sharply. Once all supplies were moved, the RV's side door slid shut seamlessly. Chen Zhong put on a polite grin. Everything's loaded up. Safe travels, sir. Lu Hao waved a hand dismissively. I'm off. Chen Zhong and Haozi waved frantically in response. In that exact moment, whoosh. A sharp arrow whistled past Chen Zhong's scalp. Get down. Chen Zhong threw himself onto the ground in a panic, watching the arrow embed itself deep into the frame of the 3-wheeler. The shaft still vibrating violently from impact. Lu Hao let out a helpless chuckle. This girl. I only lifted my hand to wave goodbye, not signal to fire. For 100 meters away, hidden within parched thickets, Yang Xiaosu muttered to herself. Ugh, I missed by a hair's breadth. Could have gotten a clean headshot. He's lying flat now, perfect stationary target. Just calculate the trajectory properly this time. She knocked another arrow and drew her bowstring taut. 2 honks blared from Lu Hao's armored RV before she could loose the shot. She tilted her head in confusion. What do 2 honks mean? We never agreed on that signal. When the RV began driving toward her position, she stowed her bow without hesitation. Pass a message to Huang Mao. I'll pay him a visit soon. Lu Hao called out before spinning the wheel and driving away. Covered head to toe in dirt from the fall, Chen Zhong and Haozi dared not lift their heads until the RV vanished from sight. They stared at one another in stunned silence. Zhong, that arrow nearly killed you just now. Haozi's voice trembled. That archer is unbelievably skilled. Lu Hao isn't traveling alone. He's got a powerful team backing him up, Chen Zhong said, still shaken. Hold on. If he wanted us dead, the machine gun could have gunned us down instantly. Why waste an arrow to scare us? Haozi voiced his confusion. For once you've got a working brain in your head. Chen Zhong stood slowly and brushed dust off his clothes. I can't figure it out either. A show of force? A warning? It's clear he has a personal grudge against Boss Long. We need to tread extremely carefully moving forward. Haozi's eyes lit up. Does that mean we actually have a chance to switch sides? Drop that foolish idea immediately. Neither Lu Hao nor Huang Feilong are people we can afford to cross. If the two clash later, your top priority is keeping yourself safe. Got it? Understood, Zhong. The radio on Chen Zhong's motorcycle crackled to life. Zhong, have you finished the errand? We've got urgent business here. Hurry back. The trade's done, Boss Long. I'm heading over right away. Chen Zhong glanced at the three-wheeler piled high with supplies and sighed heavily. Zhong, what if we just run away and leave the gang for good? Haozi suggested out of the blue. Chen Zhong considered the idea briefly before shaking his head. Our ramshackle vehicles can't outrun Huang Feilong's rides. He'd hunt us down in minutes. Then what do? We traded a precious gene serum for nothing but food. Boss Long will fly into a rage and most likely kill us both. Haozi whined anxiously. Chen Zhong furrowed his brows in deep thought for a moment. Don't panic. I've got a plan. What plan? Haozi leaned in eagerly. At the very start of the apocalypse, I rescued a woman stranded on the road. A woman? Was she attractive with a great figure? Haozi pressed curiously. Chen Zhong paused mid-sentence. Focus on what matters, though yes, she was striking and well-built. Stop distracting me with trivial details. I gave her half a bottle of clean water back then when I could barely look after myself, so I left her be afterward. I crossed paths with her again at a highway service station later on. Did the two of you form some kind of bond? Quit being ridiculous. She promised she'd repay my kindness with one favor whenever I needed help. Haozi stared at Chen Zhong with a suggestive grin. Letting his imagination run wild about the nature of this favor, Chen Zhong kicked him hard. Your mind is filled with nothing but garbage. Knock it off. Haozi yelped in pain and begged for mercy. I'm sorry, Zhong. It's hard to think of any other kind of help a stranger could offer. I don't know why I ever praised you for being smart. Chen Zhong groaned and ignored the man's antics. She possesses immense power, definitely wielding a high-level supernatural sequence ability. I'll call in her favor as a last resort if things go south. He clapped Haozi firmly on the shoulder. That's only our worst-case backup plan. We're not helpless ourselves. Your ability is more than enough to save your own skin in danger. Boss Long still relies on my support work, so we'll only face punishment at worst, not execution. Hop onto your three-wheeler. Let's move out. Right away, Zhong. Abandoned subway entrance. What was once a subway station entrance was now unrecognizable. Blasted into a crater roughly 15 meters wide and 6 meters deep. The escalators were completely destroyed. Impassable for people, let alone vehicles. Huang Feilong had sent one of his best climbers down to scout the crater, but the man never returned. Almost certainly killed by whatever lurked below. That was why Huang Feilong planned to fire an artillery blast first to draw out the skeleton monsters. The plan worked, drawing 7 white skeletons out into the crater. Yet the pit was far too deep for the creatures to climb back up to the surface. Boss Long, fire another shell to eliminate the skeletons, then send someone down to collect the dropped loot, one gang member suggested. Huang Feilong smirked. Great idea. You volunteered to climb down and gather the goods then. Forget I said anything. The man backed off instantly. Boss Long, Chen Zhong and Haozi are back, someone shouted from the sidelines. Relief washed over Wanli when she heard the news. She'd been eagerly waiting to witness Lu Hao get brutally punished. But her excitement faded when she saw the 2 men return empty-handed, save for the cargo of supplies loaded onto their three-wheeler. Zhong, where's the target? Huang Feilong's tone turned icy and hostile. Chen Zhong gestured toward the supplies. Boss Long, look at all the food and fresh water I secured through the trade. It'll feed our entire crew for 2 to 3 days. Huang Feilong stared in disbelief before erupting in anger. I didn't send you out to barter for groceries. The gang has no shortage of basic supplies. Tell me, what did you trade him? Don't tell me you used the primary gene serum. Haozi rushed to explain their predicament. We had no choice, Boss Long. You never warned us he drove a Tier 2 armored RV fitted with a roof-mounted machine gun. He also had an expert archer with him. An arrow nearly took Zhong's head mid-conversation. We were forced into this unfair trade at gunpoint. Huang Feilong was stunned. I never told you. Wait, did you say Tier 2? This guy's name is Lu what? Lu Hao. Wanli answered immediately, completely unconvinced. That's impossible. He was driving a shabby van before. No amount of luck could upgrade that beat-up vehicle into a fully armored gun truck in such a short time span, much less add functional heavy weaponry. Huang Feilong stroked his chin thoughtfully. Could it just be someone with the identical name? It has to be a different person entirely. Wanli insisted firmly. He also sent you a message, Boss Long. Haozi cut in. Huang Feilong raised an eyebrow in curiosity. Oh, what did he say? Haozi mimicked Lu Hao's tone carefully. Tell Huang Mao I'll come find him myself. For the record, calling you Huang Mao was his own wording, not ours. Huang Feilong let out a cold laugh. Bold of him to provoke the Flying Dragon gang and rob my men. He'll pay with his life for this theft. Chen Zhong, Haozi, your mission failure cost us a valuable serum. We can't let this slide without punishment to maintain order in the gang. You two will head down into the crater right now to retrieve the skeleton's drops and scout the underground area. This is a death sentence. Haozi cried out in despair. Say something, Zhong. Zhong took a deep breath. I'll go down into the crater alone. Haozi stared at his partner with gratitude and worry etched across his face. Huang Feilong cut their exchange short and pointed into the distance. Describe what that armored RV looks like in detail. It weighs at minimum 10 tons, fully encased in alloy steel plating, equipped with a roof machine gun turret and solar fusion panels. It's basically a mobile heavy assault fortress, Zhong explained. Huang Feilong suddenly pointed toward the open wasteland. Does it look like that vehicle over there? Every member of the gang turned to follow his gesture. A black armored RV was barreling toward their position, kicking up clouds of sand and dust as it raced forward. Haozi yelled in panic. That's exactly the vehicle. It's him. Run for your life, Zhong. Dust billowed violently as the rugged, fortress-like armored RV closed in rapidly. A murmur of shock rippled through the entire Flying Dragon gang. Huang Feilong was seething with rage. Perfect, he actually dared to show up. Everyone mount your vehicles and grab your weapons. Wanli scrambled into the passenger seat of Huang Feilong's sports car, a heavy sense of dread settling over her as she watched the imposing RV barrel toward them. This can't really be Lu Hao. There's no way. Huang Feilong revved his sports car's engine, the motor roaring like an enraged beast as he angled the vehicle forward. I'll blast this kid with a shell and teach him a painful lesson. He had barely rotated the artillery turret into firing position when the armored RV swerved at an impossible sharp angle, speeding past the gang's formation without slowing down. It drove straight into the deep subway crater. A stunned silence fell over the entire group. He made such a dramatic entrance just to drive straight into a pit. He must be terrible at driving. Clearly he panicked under Boss Long's imposing aura, lost control of the wheel, and hit the gas instead of the brakes. So he drove into the crater to commit suicide out of fear. No one matches Boss Long's intimidating presence. Boss Long is invincible. Huang Feilong soaked in the non-stop praise pouring through the group's communication channels with a satisfied grin. I thought he was some big shot. Turns out he's just a fool. Send someone to check if he's dead at the bottom of the crater. Minutes later, a subordinate screamed in alarm. Boss Long, he's completely unharmed. He's already looted all the supplies the skeletons dropped down there. Huang Feilong rushed his sports car to the crater edge and peered down. The armored RV sat intact and unharmed on the crater floor. Lu Hao popped open a cold can of cola and took a slow sip, grinning up at him. Fancy seeing you again, Huang Mao. Huang Feilong's eyes bulged with fury. It really is you, you damned brat. Wanli stood frozen in shock as well. The man down in the crater was undeniably the same Lu Hao she'd kicked out of her vehicle before. How had he upgraded his broken-down van into this domineering armored fortress? Don't you dare call me that. Huang Feilong roared furiously. He never imagined the penniless kid he'd mocked and written off for dead on the open road would now act with such blatant arrogance, robbing his gang's serum and stealing their hard-earned monster loot right under their noses. Seal his fate. Huang Feilong twisted his face into a snarl and locked the artillery turret onto the RV below. Lu Hao reacted faster. He climbed back into the driver's seat and slammed on the gas, speeding deep into the pitch-black subway tunnel entrance. Boss Long, we have to chase him. Wanli shouted urgently from the passenger seat. You promised you'd teach him a harsh lesson. Huang Feilong stared at her like she'd lost her mind. Chase him? Look at this massive crater wall. This is a sports car, not a flying vehicle. Wanli frowned in frustration. He drove down into the crater just fine without flying. Huang Feilong was left spluttering in pure aggravation. I wish I knew how he pulled that off. Back at the crater rim, Zhong and Haozi exchanged a quiet glance. He's unbelievably bold, marching straight into our territory to grab loot right in front of Boss Long's whole crew, Haozi muttered in awe. Zhong nodded gravely. His strength is unquestionable, and that armored RV is far more advanced than it looks. It really is Lu Hao we're dealing with. If the tide turns against Boss Long in their conflict later, we'll slip away when we get the chance. Understood? Got it, Zhong. Huang Feilong shouted across the assembly. Zhonglei, use your excavator to carve a safe ramp down into the crater floor, now. My excavator's a small model, Boss Long. The soil here is rock hard. It would take me 3 full days to dig a usable path. You'll get a Tier 2 fire core crystal as an upgrade reward for the work. Get over here now. Thank you so much, Boss Long. You're the best. Haozi sighed wistfully hearing the exchange. I wish I could upgrade my beat-up 3-wheeler too. Deep inside the pitch-black subway tunnel, dual beams of headlights cut through the total darkness. A wandering white skeleton snapped its skull toward the light, glowing crimson embers burning in its empty eye sockets. It brandished a rusted steel pipe and charged toward the vehicle. The skeleton only managed 2 steps forward. Crack! A razor-sharp arrow pierced straight through its skull. A bizarre sight unfolded. The skeleton's body continued its forward momentum while its cranium was ripped backward by the arrow. It was pinned firmly to a concrete support pillar. The bone skull splintered apart on impact, dropping a packet of spicy hot pot base onto the tunnel floor. "Captain, it's spicy hot pot seasoning," Yang Xiaosu called excitedly from the vehicle's sunroof. Lu Hao smiled calmly. "Don't rush to pick up the drops yet. Clear out all remaining hostiles first." "Understood." Yang Xiaosu knocked another arrow and drew her bowstring once more. Sharp, crisp impacts echoed continuously through the tunnel with every shot, each strike a fatal headshot on another white skeleton monster. Lu Hao only needed to operate the vehicle's headlights to illuminate targets, making the whole cleanup far less taxing than working alone. Yang Xiaosu purchased her arrows from automated wasteland vending machines. The ammunition was extremely cheap, 100 arrows for a single wasteland highway coin. Yet in her skilled hands, these simple arrows packed more destructive force than most standard firearms. Lu Hao had not come here seeking a confrontation with Huang Feilong. His real goal was to farm monster materials and stock up on valuable resources. This abandoned subway zone was marked as a high-priority loot spot on his map, guaranteed to host stronger anomalous creatures deeper within the tunnels. Confident in his own abilities, he'd ventured inside alongside Yang Xiaosu without hesitation. His armored RV was fitted with anti-gravity levitation modules, allowing it to traverse any terrain with perfect ease. Huang Feilong and his gang were trapped uselessly at the crater's surface with no way to follow them down. It did not take long for Yang Xiaosu to wipe out every white skeleton occupying the subway station hall. "Captain, can I collect the drops now?" One of the skeletons dropped beef meatballs. "I don't want them to spoil sitting out here," Yang Xiaosu called out. "It should be safe for the moment. I'll cover you, move quickly." "Got it." Yang Xiaosu leaped down from the RV's roof and swiftly gathered all the items left by the fallen skeletons. 2 packets of hot pot base, 1 bag of beef meatballs, 4 bottles of mineral water, 2 sausages, 1 packet of frozen dumplings, 20 liters of fuel, plus 10 highway coins. Yang Xiaosu neatly stowed perishable food items inside the RV refrigerator before handing the highway coins over to Lu Hao. Lu Hao took 5 coins for himself. "We'll split the earnings 50-50 for this run." Yang Xiaosu shook her head firmly. "You're the team captain. You deserve the larger share." Lu Hao grabbed 2 more coins with a chuckle. "Fair enough, 70-30 split then. Current account balance, 152. Yang Xiaosu pocketed her remaining 3 coins contentedly. Right then, the entire RV chassis shuddered faintly. Lu Hao's guard shot up instantly as he checked the rearview mirror, spotting a dark creature clinging to the exterior hull of the vehicle. An unknown anomalous monster has latched onto the RV. Yang Xiaosu tensed up in alarm. A moment later, loud scraping sounds echoed across the vehicle, and the monster scuttled straight onto the front windshield. Yang Xiaosu stepped backward in fright with a small gasp, and even Lu Hao was startled by the creature's appearance. This was no skeletal monster. It was a humanoid entity covered in rough black flesh, with bat-like webbing stretched between its arms and torso. It was granting it limited flight capabilities. Terrafant, Tier 2 anomalous monster. Equipped with razor-sharp claws and bat wings, excels at climbing, stealth, and short-distance aerial bursts. Extremely agile movement speed, attack power rating, 70. After reading the alert from the highway system, Lu Hao let out a quiet breath of relief. With an attack power of only 70, the ground manticore could never pierce the armored RV's defenses. Right then, the ground manticore clung to the windshield, its emerald glowing eyes locked straight onto his gaze. It bared rows of sharp fangs, thick saliva dripping continuously from its jaws. The horrifying sight turned Yang Xiaoxiao's stomach. Lu Hao frowned hard and slammed down on the gas pedal. "Who do you think you're scaring?" The ground manticore had just lifted its claws to strike when the violent jolt from the sudden acceleration smashed its face flat against the glass. It warped its features into something even more grotesque. The gruesome sight was now even more revolting. Enraged, it pushed itself upright and let out a shrill shriek, readying another swipe. Abruptly, Lu Hao slammed on the brakes. Whoosh! The beast went flying a long distance away. Whoa! The force of inertia sent Yang Xiaoxiao hurtling toward the driver's seat, nearly slamming her face into the exact spot where the manticore had been pressed against the windshield moments before. She scrambled backward in shock, gasping. Lu Hao let out an amused chuckle. Calm down. Your eyesight is sharp. Keep an eye out for where the manticore went. The creature that had been thrown clear was nowhere to be seen and made no further move to attack. The headlights only illuminated a limited area, and the ground manticores were adept at climbing, hiding, and executing short bursts of flight. Hunting one down in this pitch-black environment was incredibly difficult. Lu Hao had consumed another vial of primary genetic agent, raising his overall physical stats to 40. Though he felt immensely strengthened, he knew he could not afford a head-on fight with the manticore. They were stuck in a highly disadvantageous position. Outside the vehicle, meanwhile, the upgraded Level 2 excavator rapidly dug away soil, carving out a wide sloped pathway leading straight to the subway entrance in short order. Rat leaned over and murmured, "Zhong, once they head inside, we can slip away while everyone's distracted, right?" Chen Zhong shook his head grimly. "That won't happen. Huang Feilong will definitely force us to go in first." Sure enough, Huang Feilong's voice boomed out seconds later. "Zhong, Rat, you two go ahead into the tunnel. I'll provide covering fire from the rear." Rat gritted his teeth angrily. "Cover fire my foot. He's just sending us in to die." Chen Zhong set his jaw firmly and swung a leg over his motorbike. "That woman is on her way here. We won't get killed." Rat's expression brightened instantly. "Then I've got nothing to worry about." Shortly afterward, the motorbike and three-wheeler arrived at the top of the steep slope. Staring down the sharp incline, Rat's hands trembled on the steering wheel. "Feilong, make sure you've got our backs out there." Huang Feilong patted the artillery cannon mounted on his vehicle's roof. "Relax. I'll fire the cannon the second any danger pops up. Just make sure you don't blast us to bits along with the monsters," Rat muttered under his breath. "Quit wasting time and move out." Chen Zhong twisted the throttle and raced his motorcycle down the slope without hesitation. Rat had no choice but to follow behind on his three-wheeled utility vehicle. Once the pair reached the bottom of the incline, Huang Feilong pressed on his own accelerator. "Men, follow me down into the tunnel." He glanced over at Wan Li in the passenger seat. "Stay alert. I want to take that kid out just as badly as you do. Keep hold of your handgun, provide fire support if needed, and use your supernatural sequence to restrain him when the chance arises." Wan Li tightened her grip on the pistol, a mix of nervousness and resolve on her face. "I've got this, Feilong. I'll pull my weight out here." Huang Feilong nodded and steered his sports car speeding down the slope, with the rest of his gang members trailing close behind. None of them noticed a figure dart past their group, slipping into the subway entrance well before anyone else. At the front of the pack, Rat suddenly shuddered. "Zhong, I swear something just zoomed right past us." Chen Zhong narrowed his eyes into the darkness. "It must be her." "Her? Don't scare me like that. I'm terrified of ghosts," Rat whimpered anxiously. Chen Zhong flipped on his bike's headlights. "She isn't a ghost, but this whole place is hellish enough. These twisted abominations are no different from phantoms. If you want to survive, stop cowering and keep moving forward." With that, he rode his motorcycle into the black, gaping mouth of the subway tunnel, Rat hot on his heels. Back inside the armored RV, Lu Hao waited for a long stretch with no renewed assault from the ground manticore. The rumble of vehicle engines echoed through the tunnel soon after. "They're here," Lu Hao said quietly. "I'll handle them." Yang Xiaoxiao volunteered immediately. Lu Hao held up a hand to stop her. "If you step outside, you'll expose yourself. The manticore won't pass up such an easy target. Let them draw the beast's attention first. We'll strike when the opportunity presents itself." Multiple beams of vehicle headlights cut through the darkness and locked onto their position moments later. "Feilong, we've spotted them," one gang member shouted, his voice bouncing off the walls of the vast subway station hall. Gunfire erupted immediately afterward. Lu Hao remained completely unperturbed. Ordinary bullets could not even scratch the RV's tires or reinforced glass, amounting to nothing more than a minor nuisance. Yang Xiaoxiao pressed up against the windshield, scanning the open area with a high-powered flashlight. "I see the ground manticore. It's clinging to the wall. It's moving, and it's heading away from us," she reported. Her words had barely faded when a shrill scream tore through the air. A chaotic barrage of gunfire erupted right after. "What the hell is that thing? Damn it. It bit Lu Bo's throat clean through, and it's feeding on his corpse. It's a ground manticore, a rank 2 anomalous monster. Feilong, help us. Open fire." Oh, boom. A deafening artillery blast shook the entire subway station, sending chunks of ceiling debris raining down from above. When the tremors subsided, Yang Xiaoxiao tallied the casualties. 3 people are dead, 2 were killed by the manticore, and the third was caught in the cannon blast. "Where's the manticore? Did the blast take it out?" Lu Hao asked. "It escaped. It's extremely fast, took flight on the spot, and vanished back into hiding." Fast, capable of flight, and cunning as a fox. This rank 2 ground manticore is far more troublesome than the rank 2 black skeletons we faced before. Lu Hao fell into brief contemplation. This type of anomalous monster has clearly poured most of its stat points into agility. Its physical defense is bound to be relatively low. The only real problem is landing a hit on it. Another scream echoed through the station as another member of the Filong gang was attacked. Scattered gunshots, panicked shouts, and the harsh scrape of claws raking against vehicle metal filled the air. The entire gang had devolved into total disarray. Huang Filong was growing frantic. Afraid of friendly fire from reckless cannon shots, he roared out an order. Fall back. Get out of the station first. Zhong, we need to run. Rat's face drained of all color as he frantically reversed his three-wheeler. They had been fortunate to avoid the initial manticore strikes while positioned at the front of the group, but retreating put them at the very rear of the formation, prime targets for the vengeful beast. Sure enough, the instant he finished turning his vehicle around, a sharp whistling sound cut through the air. Chen Zhong spun around on reflex and pulled the trigger of his handgun. I hit it. The bullet struck true, but the manticore only let out a pained screech and continued its lightning-fast charge toward him. There was no time to fire a second shot. We're done for, Chen Zhong muttered, overcome with despair. The manticore's glowing green eyes loomed inches from his face, accompanied by a wave of putrid stench washing over him. Just as the beast was about to pounce, whoosh, a splash of cold liquid splattered across Chen Zhong's cheek. The manticore veered sharply off course and crashed onto the ground, scrambling back to its feet in an instant before leaping high into the air and vanishing into the darkness. Chen Zhong blinked to find a stranger standing beside him. You're the one who saved me. A cool, calm voice answered him from the shadows. I promised I would. Leave this place quickly. You won't survive if you linger. Understood. Chen Zhong revved his engine, then asked hesitantly, would you consider teaming up with me? The figure melted back into the dark recesses of the station, her detached tone drifting over. I prefer to work alone. Chen Zhong let out a helpless chuckle and hurried after Rat toward the subway exit. Inside the station hall, Lu Hao caught a fleeting silhouette moving through the reach of the vehicle spotlights. Did you see that, Xiao Xiao? Was that the manticore or a person? A person, a woman. She's stunningly beautiful with incredibly long, graceful limbs and an impressive, athletic build, Yang Xiao Xiao replied. That's hardly the relevant detail here, Lu Hao said with a helpless smile, surprised by what he had witnessed. Only someone with extraordinary combat prowess and the confidence to face the manticore head-on would dare move freely outside a protected vehicle in these dangerous tunnels. A piercing shriek suddenly cut through the air, followed by soft pattering footsteps and the sharp whistle of rushing movement. The manticore fled, and that woman is chasing it down the stairwell over there. Yang Xiaoxiao pointed urgently. Follow them. Lu Hao spun the steering wheel sharply, and the armored RV surged forward. A steep ramp stretched ahead, the remains of an old pedestrian escalator leading down to the subway platforms. The armored RV paid no mind to the uneven terrain and barreled straight down the incline. Faint lights flickered at the bottom of the drop, illuminating the area enough to navigate without blind searching. Lu Hao spotted an abandoned subway train lined with rusted metal along the platform edge, with 3 more ground manticores perched atop its hull. Are you kidding me? 3 more of them. Lu Hao stiffened in shock. Dealing with a single manticore was already challenging enough. Facing 3 at once was a serious predicament. That woman is backing away fast, Yang Xiaoxiao warned suddenly. The same woman who had been pursuing the beast was now beating a hasty retreat at equal speed. Seems she's not as unbeatable as she looked. For manticores are more than she can handle, Lu Hao commented dryly. Captain, do you think we can fight them off? Yang Xiaoxiao asked. Lu Hao cleared his throat awkwardly. If they lined up neatly for me to pick off one by one, I could take down 100 without breaking a sweat. Yang Xiaoxiao covered her mouth and giggled quietly. Still, she felt an immense sense of safety sitting within the fortified walls of the RV. Protected from all external threats, the two of them could afford to joke amid the chaos unfolding outside. The woman out in the open had no such luxury. She locked eyes with Lu Hao through the RV windshield as she ran, pushing her speed to its absolute limit. What kind of supernatural sequence grants that level of speed? Lu Hao got a clear look at her features as she drew closer. She wore a tight-fitting black tactical outfit, standing tall and lithe with sharp, refined facial features marked by cold composure. In any pre-apocalypse university campus, she would have been an unattainable, admired beauty revered by countless young men. In the current wasteland, however, She cut the figure of a cold-blooded assassin gripping a sharp combat blade, her entire aura radiating icy killing intent. As she twisted to run onward, Lu Hao noticed a rectangular board strapped to her back. He glanced into the rearview mirror and spoke with a grim smile. Looks like we can't drive away just yet. 2 more manticores are closing in. Yang Xiaoxiao glanced backward to see the female fighter sprinting back toward them once more. 6 ground manticores in total, including the wounded one from earlier, had completely surrounded the RV and the woman. To make matters worse, a horde of skeletons was charging toward their position, led by 2 black skeleton variants at the front of the pack. They were now forced to contend with swarms of rank 1 anomalous creatures alongside 8 rank 2 ground manticores all at once. Lu Hao's expression turned grave. Even an elephant could be worn down by endless swarms of ants. While the armored RV boasted formidable defensive capabilities, prolonged sustained attacks would inevitably wear down its structural integrity. We're breaking out now. He made a split-second decision, slamming on the gas before the skeleton horde could close the distance. The moment the RV lurched forward, 4 of the manticores sprinted after the vehicle, while the remaining 2 lunged toward the female fighter. Seizing her opening, the woman immediately turned and fled toward the station exit. She had only run a short distance when the armored RV suddenly circled back, racing past her at high speed. As their vehicles passed one another, Lu Hao waved briefly from inside the driver's cabin. The woman let out a quiet huff and pulled the rectangular board from her back, tossing it forward into open air. The board hovered suspended in midair. She leaped upward and landed firmly on its surface. 2 fiery exhaust plumes ignited from the rear of the board an instant later, rocketing her forward at blistering speed. Lu Hao and Yang Xiaoxiao stared in stunned silence inside the RV. A functional hoverboard, no less. That's definitely a rank 2 vehicle. She must have unlocked a basic hoverboard as her starting bonded item. To upgrade it into a functional combat vehicle while enhancing her physique enough to hunt rank 2 manticores solo. This woman is extraordinarily skilled, Lu Hao said in genuine admiration. By this point, the female fighter had streaked past the RV atop her hoverboard, speeding out of the subway exit far ahead of everyone else. Huang Feilong and his gang had set up a waiting blockade right outside the subway tunnel entrance. Seated in his rank 2 sports car, Huang Feilong smoked a cigarette and sipped a can of beer. This is the perfect ambush. We lie in wait and strike whoever comes out of that tunnel, whether it's that kid or the monsters. Everyone lock onto your targets and open fire on my command. Understood, Feilong, the gang members replied in unison, their voices lacking any real enthusiasm. The heavy casualties they had suffered inside the tunnel had shattered the morale of this newly formed crew assembled less than 24 hours prior. Once the shooting starts, we bolt for freedom amid the chaos. Got it? Chen Zhong whispered to Rat beside him. Got it, Zhong. I'll floor the gas and book it the second things kick off. Rat gripped the handlebars of his 3-wheeler tightly. A shout suddenly cut through the quiet wasteland air. Something's coming out. Every head snapped toward the tunnel mouth. 2 human figures stumbled out into the open, and the gang raised their weapons to fire, only to freeze when they recognized the bodies as 2 of their own slain teammates from earlier. The pair moved with stiff, unnatural gaits, their skin gray and rotting, their eyes glowing blood red like reanimated corpses. Wait a minute. Does getting bitten by a manticore turn people into the Walking Dead? One man blurted out in horror. Is it possible they'll mutate into white skeletons after some time? Another member speculated nervously. Then evolve further into black skeletons, and eventually ground manticores. Does that mean all these anomalous monsters are mutated humans from before the apocalypse? A collective shudder ran through every person present. I can't stand this cursed wasteland another second. I refuse to end up transformed into one of those abominations. I need to get home, one gang member snapped, overcome with panic. He revved his vehicle's engine and prepared to flee. A single gunshot rang out, and the man collapsed dead on the spot. Huang Feilong lowered his smoking handgun, his gaze cold and ruthless. Anyone who tries to desert will meet the same fate. Now open fire and eliminate those 2 reanimated corpses. The remaining gang members hurriedly unloaded their firearms into the 2 undead figures, reducing their bodies to mangled remains before they could fully complete their mutation process. The moment their gunfire died down, a figure burst flying out of the subway entrance. Before anyone could react, the person soared directly over their heads. The female fighter stood atop her hoverboard trailing bright blue exhaust flames, gliding high above the ground. The bizarre, otherworldly sight left every member of the Feilong gang utterly dumbfounded. Is that some kind of airborne cultivation technique? Is there someone practicing immortal arts in this wasteland? It's a woman riding that board. Is that her, Zhong? Is that the woman who saved you? It's her. All right, Chen Zhong answered quietly. Huang Feilong stared upward with undisguised awe. That woman moves with incredible grace and athletic prowess. Wan Li frowned with quiet jealousy from the passenger seat. I have a strong athletic build as well. Huang Feilong turned toward her with a lazy grin. I'll get a chance to see for myself once we finish dealing with our current target. Wan Li flushed slightly at his comment. Movement stirred once more within the subway tunnel. The armored RV burst out of the entrance at full throttle. Huang Feilong's eyes lit up with rage. That brat somehow survived again. Time to finish him off with a cannon round. We'll make certain he doesn't escape this time, Wan Li said excitedly. The artillery cannon had just locked onto the RV when the armored vehicle abruptly surged forward with a sharp burst of speed, lifting fully off the ground and soaring into the air before the stunned eyes of every gang member. It's flying. Who would have thought an RV could take flight? This is beyond anything I could have imagined. The dozen-ton armored vehicle hovered weightlessly above the ground in a spectacular airborne maneuver, leaving the Feilong gang completely speechless. Huang Feilong sat frozen behind the wheel of his sports car. This was the exact flying vehicle capability he had dreamed of for his own Rank 2 sports car, a feature his own vehicle could not replicate in the slightest. Am I driving a sports car, or is he? Unbelievable. Huang Feilong unleashed a barrage of machine gun fire toward the airborne RV. The bullets impacted against the reinforced hull, only sparking harmless flashes and failing to leave a single mark. Emergency. The ground manticores are exiting the tunnel too, someone shouted in alarm. 6 ground manticores total. 2 black skeletons are right behind them. There's a massive horde of white skeletons charging this way. We're all going to die here. Huang Feilong slammed his fist violently against the steering wheel as the horde of monsters closed in rapidly. That boy did this on purpose. He led this entire monster horde straight to us. What do we do now, Feilong? Think of a plan fast. Wan Li's face paled with raw terror. Shut up. Huang Feilong slammed the vehicle into reverse, narrowly dodging a flying pounce from 2 manticores before firing the roof-mounted cannon. Boom. The artillery shell detonated, blowing several white skeletons into scattered bone fragments. Powerful as the cannon was against low-tier skeletons, the agile manticores easily evaded every blast. As Huang Feilong lined up a second shot, one manticore landed squarely on the vehicle roof and wrenched the cannon barrel sharply sideways. Boom. The misaligned shell exploded within the gang's own formation, triggering a chain detonation that blew one of their vehicles to pieces. Chaos engulfed the Feilong gang entirely, trapped like helpless sheep amid a pack of ravenous predators. Many members never even got the chance to activate their supernatural sequences before being slain by the swarming, anomalous creatures. It was a brutal, one-sided massacre. No one noticed the motorbike and 3-wheeler slipping safely out of the combat zone, their riders escaping unscathed. Huang Feilong knew he had to flee for his life. 3 manticores clung to the roof of his sports car, while a black skeleton hacked relentlessly at the vehicle tires with a massive bladed weapon. At such close quarters, his artillery cannon was rendered completely useless, and the manticore on the roof was steadily tearing the weapon assembly apart piece by piece. That brat set us up. Huang Feilong snapped at the panicking Wan Li as he floored the accelerator and peeled away, dragging the clinging manticores along with his speeding car. The performance of his Rank 2 sports car was undeniably formidable. Even over the rough, uneven wasteland terrain, the vehicle reached 100 kilometers per hour in under 2 seconds. The manticores clinging to the roof lost their grip and tumbled onto the cracked ground in an instant. Huh, see how fast my ride is. Huang Feilong glanced into the rearview mirror with a triumphant smirk. Wan Li sagged back against the seat in relief. We made it out alive. I truly thought our time was up back there. Thank goodness you were leading us, Feilong. Huang Feilong's smile faded into a bitter scowl. That kid cost me my entire crew. I built this gang from the ground up, and now it's wiped out entirely. We should hunt him down to avenge our fallen allies. You're definitely stronger than he is, Wan Li urged him. A cold smirk tugged at Huang Feilong's lips. He doesn't stand a chance in a one-on-one fight against me. I still have 10 cannon shells left. I'm taking him down. My pride won't let me walk away from this insult. Crack. A sharp iron arrow embedded itself deep into the sports car's windshield, its pointed tip stopping merely 10 centimeters away from Huang Feilong's forehead. What the hell? Huang Feilong's eyes bulged in fright, narrowly avoiding a fatal headshot. Before he could process what had just happened, the rumble of an engine echoed ahead through the swirling desert sand, and the black armored RV barreled straight toward his position. Huang Feilong recognized the vehicle instantly as Lu Hao's armored transport. His earlier confidence to seek revenge vanished the second he laid eyes on the arrow lodged inches from his skull. Faced with the rapidly approaching RV, he wrenched the steering wheel hard to one side. Run. 3 more arrows slammed into the vehicle chassis in that split second. Huang Feilong's panic spiked. Whoever was firing those arrows possessed pinpoint accuracy and firepower superior to standard machine guns. He swerved recklessly across the wasteland, pushing his sports car to its absolute maximum speed. Wan Li, confused by his sudden retreat, asked in bewilderment. He's driving straight toward us. Why are we running? Fire your cannon to take him out. Maintaining accurate aim at this high speed is impossible, Huang Feilong gritted out. Wasting cannon shells would only leave us defenseless. Then slow the car down to line up a clear shot, Wan Li suggested innocently. Huang Feilong froze for a moment before snarling sharply. Do you not see we're the ones fleeing for our lives right now? I cannot defeat him. Do you finally understand that? Wan Li's lips formed a small pout. But you said he couldn't beat you one-on-one. Huang Feilong shot her a venomous glare. Quiet. The staccato crackle of machine gun fire echoed from directly behind them. Glancing into the rearview mirror, Huang Feilong watched the armored RV close the gap rapidly. If we were on flat pavement, he wouldn't even be able to catch a glimpse of my taillights. This is open desert terrain, though, Wan Li murmured quietly from the passenger seat. Huang Feilong fell into a frustrated silence. He took a deep breath and issued a sharp order. Use your supernatural sequence to seize control of his vehicle's tires. If you can destabilize the RV enough to flip it over, you'll have earned yourself a major reward. Wan Li blinked nervously, but I'm still unfamiliar with how to properly activate my sequence ability. Huang Feilong nearly shouted in exasperation. The activation instructions are imprinted directly into your mind. Just focus and trigger the power. Wan Li's voice cracked with distress. I truly cannot get it to activate. I think the stress is overwhelming me. Could you lower the air conditioning? I'm overheated and parched. A drink of water might calm my nerves enough to use my ability. Huang Feilong breathed in deeply once more, his jaw tight with suppressed rage. Now I fully understand why that kid threw you out of his vehicle back then. Wan Li tilted her head in confused confusion. Huh. A violent jolt threw her body hard against the car door. The metal frame buckled outward, and the passenger door flew completely open, sending Wan Li tumbling out onto the harsh desert ground. Wan Li was utterly stunned. Got thrown out of the vehicle again. Tossed out once more, huh? Seems even this blonde guy couldn't put up with her nonsense anymore. Lu Hao snickered uncharitably from inside the armored RV as he watched Wan Li tumble off the sports car. Captain, do you know that woman? Yang Xiaoxiu poked her upper body out from the vehicle roof, loosed an arrow, then ducked back down to ask. I know of her barely. She's expendable, Lu Hao replied flatly. Right then, he heard the fallen Wan Li scream shrilly. You heartless bastard, Huang. You rat-faced creep. I'll drag you down with me even if I die. Wan Li slammed her palms against the ground. The earth bulged instantly, something burrowing through the soil straight toward the underside of the speeding sports car. Moments later, thick vines burst out of the ground and coiled tight around the vehicle's tires. The speeding sports car lurched violently out of control, swerving wildly before slamming into a boulder and flipping over entirely. Huang Feilong had finally gotten the high-speed airborne ride he'd always dreamed of, just not in the way he imagined. He shrieked in panic inside the wrecked cabin. Wan Li, damn you to hell. Boom. The sports car crashed heavily onto the ground and rolled repeatedly across the rough terrain. Wan Li let out a triumphant laugh, but her grin froze the very next second. The tumbling wreck was careening straight toward her position. No. She tried to scramble away, but overusing her superhuman ability had completely drained her stamina. She could not move a single muscle, forced to stare helplessly as the rolling car bore down and crushed her. A shrill scream tore from Wan Li's throat as blood splattered across the dirt. The armored RV rolled to a slow halt, and Lu Hao rolled down his window. Lu Hao, help me. Wan Li clung weakly to her last breath. Lu Hao's face remained impassive. Sorry, there's nothing I can do. Wan Li gasped feebly. You had feelings for me, didn't you? Lu Hao did not soften in the slightest. That was nothing but your own delusion, rat-faced woman. What? Lu Hao ignored her fading form, glancing at the crumpled, heavily damaged Tier 2 sports car with a sigh. It's banged up this badly. Its synthesis value will be cut down drastically. Just then, the crumpled car door creaked open, and Huang Feilong dragged himself painfully out of the wreckage. Sir, spare my life. I'll get on my knees and beg you. He had barely dropped to one knee when Lu Hao spoke coldly. Eliminate him. Whoosh. An arrow buried itself dead center in Huang Feilong's forehead. He toppled backward, lifeless in an instant. Villains always meet their end from running their mouths too much, and the same goes for ordinary survivors caught in this wasteland. In this brutal wasteland highway world, Lu Hao never left enemies alive. Only the dead could never stir up new trouble. I'll go collect the loot. Spotting items dropped from Huang Feilong's corpse, Yang Xiaoxiu jumped down from the roof and quickly returned to the RV clutching two objects. She sounded visibly excited. The blonde dropped some loot. We got 500 highway coins. What about the woman over there? Lu Hao asked. Yang Xiaoxiu shifted awkwardly, speaking hesitantly. All she had was a brand new pair of women's underwear. Can I have it? Lu Hao decided to tease her a little. Not a chance. Loot gets split 70-30 across everything, even this. Yang Xiaoxiu's eyes widened in pure bewilderment. How are you supposed to split a pair of underwear 70-30? Lu Hao kept a perfectly straight face as he answered. Simple enough. You wear it for 7 days, I wear it for 3. That's exactly a 70-30 split. 7 days for me, 3 for you. Yang Xiaoxiu stared at him in shock, mentally labeling him as some kind of weirdo. Her cheeks flushed hot with embarrassment. That's totally impossible. I can't accept that. Why not? We're teammates, comrades, actually. Comrades ought to share even basic gear to build solid camaraderie. Don't label me strange. I only suggested it to strengthen our teamwork and battle synergy. Lu Hao spouted complete nonsense with a solemn expression. Somehow, Yang Xiaoxiu almost found his warped logic reasonable, yet she still hesitated. But these are women's undergarments. They'd never fit you anyway. Now you're worrying about my size? Lu Hao finally broke into laughter. Relax, I was only messing with you. Those are no use to me whatsoever. Yang Xiaoxiu let out a long breath of relief. You're such a bully. Lu Hao chuckled quietly. Ahem. Standard 70-30 split applies to the highway coins. Hand over 100 coins. That settles the money I owed you before. No need at all, Captain. I've already gained so much following you. Please forget about that 100 coins. Yang Xiaoxiu rushed to decline the repayment. Debts must be settled properly, Lu Hao said firmly. All right then. Thank you, Captain. Grateful, Yang Xiaoxiu counted out 256 highway coins and passed them over to him. I only asked for 250, Lu Hao noted. Yang Xiaoxiu mumbled softly. 250 sounds unlucky, so I added 6 extra coins for good measure. Quite thoughtful of you. I won't turn down your kindness. Lu Hao smiled at her gesture and accepted the coins. Account balance. 308. He turned his gaze toward the overturned sports car, debating whether to run it through the synthesis system right away. Even damaged, a Tier 2 vehicle was still Tier 2 material. Combined with his spare upgrade modules, it might be enough to upgrade their armored RV into a full Tier 3 transport. Yang Xiaoxiu suddenly alerted him. Captain, that woman on the floating board is heading our way. Lu Hao looked up to see a woman dressed in black hovering to a stop dozens of meters away atop a levitating skateboard. Yang Xiaoxiu immediately knocked an arrow and drew her bowstring taut. Lu Hao rotated the roof-mounted machine gun, aiming its barrel straight at the newcomer. I mean no harm. The woman's cool, clear voice carried over to them. The twisted monsters lurking inside the collapsed abandoned subway entrance are extremely tough to take down. We could join forces. The subway tunnel caved in, so all the creatures are trapped outside right now. We can wipe them out together, she proposed. Yang Xiaoxiu glanced toward Lu Hao. She wants to team up with us, Captain. Lu Hao gave a slight nod and called out to the woman in black. What's your plan for this partnership? I'll serve as the frontline attacker. You two provide covering fire support, the woman stated plainly. Lu Hao withheld immediate agreement and pressed for more details. How will we divide up any supplies we recover? The woman had clearly worked this out beforehand. I only claim one specific item. Lu Hao glanced at the levitating skateboard beneath her feet. A Tier 3 fire core crystal? Correct. If one drops from the monsters, it belongs to me unconditionally, she confirmed. And if we don't get that crystal? Lu Hao pressed further. I take half of all remaining supplies, she answered without hesitation. Lu Hao did not rush to agree. What should we call you? Zhou Ning. She paused briefly before asking. And your names? Lu Hao. Yang Xiaoxiu. Yang Xiaoxiu loosened the tension on her bowstring, leaning over to whisper. Are we really partnering with her, Captain? Lu Hao considered the offer carefully. She's willing to take on all the frontline fighting and trust us to cover her back. That shows genuine good faith. We can give this alliance a shot. Follow me if you agree to the deal. With those words, Zhou Ning steered her floating skateboard and flew toward the abandoned subway station. Lu Hao pressed hard on the gas pedal, bringing the armored RV to trail closely behind her. Yang Xiaoxiu watched Zhou Ning glide through the air with undisguised curiosity. Her hoverboard is so awesome. I've never seen a flying vehicle before. Though it must be rough living out in the open air like that with no enclosed space to rest at night. That's exactly why she's desperate to reach Tier 3. Even with upgrades, how much better can a skateboard really get? Lu Hao remarked. Yang Xiaoxiu mulled the thought over earnestly. Maybe it expands into a bigger board? Or some kind of flying carpet. But that doesn't make sense. This is tech-based equipment, not magic. Several hundred meters away from their position, a motorbike and a three-wheeled utility vehicle trundled laboriously along the wasteland road. Haozi suddenly pointed forward. Brother Zhong, that's Lu Hao. And that woman who rides that flying board. Qin Zhong spotted the pair as well, his brow furrowed in confusion. She always keeps to herself and refuses to team up with anyone. Why is she riding alongside that kid now? Haozi scratched his chin and guessed. Brother Zhong, do you think it's not that she hates grouping up at all? She just specifically doesn't want to team up with you? Qin Zhong's jaw twitched faintly. That really stung Haozi.